All right, all right, all right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate everyone being on a session here with us. Invest for cash flow. And people be coming in, invite your friends, invite your family. We have experts that are going to be sharing insights on how to grow your business, how to grow your wealth, how to grow your insight, just knowledge, wisdom, understanding. And on the session, we're going out and we're reaching out to people that we see are making big moves, and we want to, get them on this platform so that we can share this information with you so that you can get ahead in whatever it is that you're doing. All the pieces, every session that I've been on so far, I've learned something. I'm always here taking notes. I have my notepad here ready with me. Hopefully, you guys have your notepad ready with you as well. And you're here to take notes on this investor cash flow session because right now, that's how you go. You are what you know, and the more that you know, the more you can have actual value in the marketplace, right? And, why not get it from the experts? Why not get it from the people who are in different industries? We have Sarah Lunn, who's a social media expert and realtor. We have John Reid, who is a marketing expert, straightforward guy. And he's here to show you what the clients are really looking for if you want to market your product to clients. We have Regina. Nick Regina, you probably already know him. He's out there. He did amazing charity, for autism, raised over $100,000, just from, going around and just sharing a cause, with a creative way with the Blazer. He's going to talk more about your well-being and growing in all aspects of your life, right? And we have Shawn Getty, number one realtor, number one brokerage, in Alberta, and they're growing, and John, just talking to John as well, he's deep as well. And we have Isack Ghebreyesus, where he's there and he's a financial expert. He's dealing with people right now. Is a situation, with finance. If you watched on the news, you've seen, Freeland, Kathy Freeland, she just stepped down, right? So, finance is definitely a big situation. And even right now, our country needs some Isack. So right now, that's the key thing right now. And we want to go and share this with you. So, I see people are coming in, and, make sure you go out and you reach out, you post it on your social, get people to come in and listen to these experts, right? So as I mentioned, my name is Richard Addo-Kessie, right? I'm a realtor, and also I'm God's servant. I'm here to just do God's work, right? And that's pretty much what I'm inspired to do every day. That's what wakes me up every day and gets me moving. Really connecting with people and see how we can bring value into each other's life, right? And for me, what I've actually over the years, I've come together and discovered a program called MacBook, which is the Mind Assistance Program, right? And the Mind Assistance Program is a program for you to actually focus on your well-being. You have to go inside yourself and discover who it is that you truly are, right? And that's your connection with Source. That's your connection with God, right? And like going inside, most people right now, there's so much that's going on in this world right now. We're seeing, in the news or in front of us, all kinds of chaos, right? But it's so important that everyone goes inside of themselves, and gets that personal reflection of who they are and what it is that they want to do, and who it is that they're supposed to be while they're here living in this world, right? And that's what the MacBook system is about. It's about activating your brain neurons to shape your desired life through your subconscious programming, right? And, most of us are living and aware in our conscious state, what's in front of us and in our mind, but in our subconscious mind is where, our results are. That's what the perception that you're viewing in this world is a result of your subconscious mind, right? So, it's very important that, you go in there, and what you're putting into your mind all the time, is what you like, right? Because that's our frequency, that's our vibration level, right? Which you see over here on the highest level of vibration is joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, and love, right? So we want to make a conscious effort to move up this emotional guidance scale by you actually using a MacBook and plugging into the MacBook program. That's what we're doing. We're raising your vibration level up to gamma, right? Because when your brain is vibrating on gamma, you're on the highest frequency to attract matching results. Anything that's on that same frequency, you're going to be attaching. So if you're on this same call, you're vibrating on a high frequency. I will say that for sure, because that's the energy and that we're actually putting out on here, like for everyone to be on a high frequency, for us really to come connect together, everyone add service into each other's lives, and for us to go out and extend that, right? So this MapBook program we have, it's an annual program for the year, 365 days, right? And it's something that for you to really be intentional for the whole year. We have the new year that's coming up right now in 2025. And in the new year, we want people to come and take a look at this program and actually join the challenge, right? It's for a year. Can you commit to this program for the next year, for the next 365 days, right? And what we needed to do, if you are choosing, you're going to integrate it into your daily essentials, like your keys, your phone, your wallet, you have your MapBook with you, right? What is the MapBook? It's a form of meditation. It's giving you the opportunity to frequently go inside yourself and discover the true you, right? You're going inside yourself before you go outside, inside before you go outside. So kind of like breathing, we inhale and we exhale, right? With the MapBook, you're going inside and outside, so that, the perception you're having in life is in alignment with how you want to think. And how we do that is by, going through the big picture. Affirmatory declaration is like a vision board that you're writing out, right? And your affirmatory declaration has to be large. It has to be massive. It has to have large mass, like the sun, so that everything that is over here gravitates towards it, and smaller steps become easier, like your year. So 2025 is coming up, so for 2025, what are your goals for 2025? What do you have planned for the year, right? And then what books are you going to read? How are you going to grow your mental? How are you going to increase your knowledge? How are you going to become a better version of yourself, right? And then monthly, we have the Focus 11. And the Focus 11, as you see in here, there's different letters which stand for mental, spiritual, physical, relationship, financial, yourself, contribution, new, business, learn, and discipline, right? So each month, you're going to do a goal that's relating to each of these parts of your life, right? And, from that, you get well-being. That's what wealth is. Wealth is a collection. Wealth is, all around being wholeness and feeling full and feeling love, full of love. You want to feel full of love. And that's what the Focus 11 is. And then we have a week where we break down our larger goals. We break them down in the week. And then every day we have the Critical 7. Critical 7 are 7 tasks that you're doing each day, right? So you really will feel fulfilled by the work that you're doing, because every day you got the best out of you, and all the intentions, all the thoughts, everything that you say you're going to do, you're holding yourself accountable with the Critical 7, the 7 critical things that you're doing each day. As you see this here, day 1, right? We're New Year's coming up. So is this a program that you want to take for the next 365 days, right? And if it is, reach out, and we'll reach out to you as well. Everyone that's registered on this, to see if you could come on a mind map session and, let us really assess, where you are, where you want to be, and, see if this program, can really is something that can assist you. We have accountability group, in there where everyone plugs in on their map. The Critical 7's out of 7, right? So each day in our book, we bring MapBook Red and we post our score every day. Everyone that's in the network and everyone that's using the MapBook Red. And that just shows us that you read your MapBook. But your intentions, you're being intentional every day. Every single day for the next year, you're going to be intentional. Everything that you say you're going to do, everything you say who you're going to be, you're actually going to go out and do it, right? And that's pretty much the program, that I'm excited about, because the new year's coming. So every new year, I get excited because that's when everyone's at for their goals, for the next session, right? Because the more you read your MapBook, the more you are forming the thoughts and think the way your heart desires, and tapping into your higher self, right? This will make you have a new reality, one that you always imagined, right? That's why it's so important for you to read the MapBook daily. By reading your MapBook, you are impregnating what is written in your book to your subconscious mind. And as a result, your body is moving towards everything that you want, and everything that you want is moving towards you, right? So that's the program with the Mind Assistance program, and these laws are, over time, like there's people, it's in the Bible, it's in the Quran, there's many speakers that speak about the program your subconscious mind. So this is not something that has been made up, it's just a tool that we have. The MapBook is a tool for you to actually apply, these principles. So I want to get into our next speaker, and like for the map book, like I mentioned, reach out to us, or and even we'll put it in the chat here for you to actually get a My Map Sessions map book program at CA, right? And we'll hook you up with a free mind map session, right? For us to really go inside your intentions, and and for you to use the map book. And if you have a team, as well, right? This is for leaders that have a team that are growing. But as a team, if you have your team being intentional, and every day your team is giving you their critical 7 for the day, right? Whatever it may be, it could be aligned to your company. And obviously, because we have the Focus 11, we want some of the things in your critical 7 to be aligned with your life, like, your loved ones, your family, relationships, and all these things as well, right? But your critical 7, if you had your team on the critical 7, everyone's using a map book, what kind of efficiency will you get from your team, right? So leaders, we know obviously we'll do something special for you, right? And then if individually, if this is a program that you want to take on for the new year, right, then reach out to us and go to the site, mapbookprogram.com. All right. So that's pretty much what I want to introduce. Now I got to get to introducing our speakers. I see them there in the background. Hey. We got Isack. Isack, thanks for joining. Actually, before Isack, we have John. I believe John Reid is going to be launching it for us, because John is a no-nonsense kind of guy. I was talking to him about on Instagram the other day, and I asked him questions like, Rich, this is what people want to know about, And so, John, tell us what people want to know about, man. Introduce yourself, and, give us the word, man. John Reid, everyone.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you asked me to tell everybody a little bit about myself and my background and where I got to, how I got to where I'm at. And basically what I said was that I could do that, but no one really gives a shit about that. The only thing that people really give a shit about is making money. Now, obviously there's a lot more that people care about in terms of their own lives and their own relationships, but, on a business level, right? And, creating professional relationships. You want to build those relationships, but at the end of the day, you want to get value from that, right? And so, I guess what I'll do is I'll give a like a less than 1 minute intro of who I am, and then I'll just get right into what it is that I'm here to talk about today, right? So. My name's John Reid. I run Reid Media Agency, which is a media and marketing agency who serve mostly real estate agents. Been doing it for many years, and we help agents by providing proven marketing made simple so that they can elevate their brand, they can become leaders in the field. We've got hundreds of satisfied clients. We've got, a really, really strong brand ourselves. We've got a really clear brand identity. And if you want to find out any more about me, you can go and check our Instagram page, and that's where you'll find it. But the main thing that I wanted to do for you guys today is to, first of all, start by highlighting a problem that is faced by all business owners. And because my kind of target client is realtors, I talk about it in the context of realtors, but it is something that's faced by all business owners. And so I'm going to highlight that for you, and I'm going to offer a solution to that problem. So Richard, am I able to share my screen, or is the...
Yep, you can. Yep, you got it.
Okay. Anything else that I missed in the introduction there, Richard?
No, you gave it. You gave it all. You gave it all for sure. And anyone have questions at any times, feel free to write them in the comment box there.
Feel free to write them in the comment box, and Richard, I'll rely on you to see those and bring them. Or alternatively, just unmute yourself and just interrupt, right? Because that's like Richard said. I like to try to keep it down to earth, keep it simple. So yeah, let me know if there is anything that you want to ask at any point in time. Okay, so swap displays. Okay, here we go. So the problem that I'm going to bring to your attention is one that you will know about, right? And some of you might have thought a lot about it. Some of you might have not given it that much thought, but it's a problem. And as soon as I tell you it, you'll go, yep, I have that problem, right? And the problem is that realtors and businesses waste massive amounts of money on marketing, right? Just say that again one more time. Realtors and any businesses waste massive amounts of money on marketing. Where has my controls gone here for Zoom? Okay, here we
Yeah,
go.
it was just on screen. We just seen it on screen. It was there.
Oh, it was actually running? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm using a double screen situation here, and let me see here.
You seen the money burning.
That's what we're doing. We're burning money. We are burning money, and we do not want to be burning money.
And now we see it. Okay, there we go.
Okay, here we go. Right. So, quick show of hands, if I can actually bring up a view to see you. Does anybody here, although I can only see a couple of people, does anybody here feel like realtors and businesses waste money on marketing? Like you spend money and you don't actually really get the return that you would hope for or the return that you would like? Anyone feel that? Okay, a hand, a nod, that's good enough for me. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a marketing framework that you can use to clarify the message that you communicate as a business so that your clients will listen and therefore your marketing will be effective and you'll stop wasting money, right? So to highlight that point, I'm just going to show you a website that I came across recently of a realtor who I specifically did not choose a local realtor. It's someone out in Calgary, but I hear that there's someone from Alberta on the call, so I do hope that this is not their website. But the thing that I want to demonstrate here is that when you look at this website, at first glance, it looks fine, right? It looks, kind of nicely designed. It's, it's got some nice imagery. It's laid out in a way that is, aesthetically pleasing. And so it kind of looks good. But if you imagine that you're a seller and you are searching for an agent to sell your home and you end up at this site, right? Does this site clearly show what makes the agent unique? What it is that they have that client might want? Does it tell that client, does it clearly show that client how to take a next step, how to get involved, right? There's a few things on there. So you've got you've got communities up at the top. But if it's a seller, they're probably not going to be really that interested in that. They just want to sell their home, right? You've got buy and you've got sell. Maybe I'll click sell, right? But there's a lot of information on there and there's nothing that really kind of draws your attention other than you've got something down there that says your home sold guaranteed, right? And so it says enter your address and your email and find out. But like, what is it that I'm finding out? Am I finding out if you can sell my home guaranteed? Am I finding out something else? Am I finding out what you're going to sell my home from? It's easy for this particular realtor or any realtor who knows how this whole thing works to look at that and think, well, yeah, it's kind of easy to find the information that you need on there. But for somebody who is, in a situation where they want to sell their home, they're probably overwhelmed with the whole task of doing that. If they arrive here, they're probably just going to be a little bit confused, right? They're probably not going to feel that they found what they are looking for. And this is not through lack of this agent spending money. They've actually invested quite a lot of money. They as I said, it looks nicely designed. It ranks #1 on Google for Calgary real estate agents, so that they've probably spent a good amount on search engine optimization. But there isn't a clear message on there that the client who is just looking to sell their home will connect with, right? And without a clear message, even a well-designed site won't deliver results, right? And so it's important to think about why someone would make a decision to follow up, to get in touch, to contact you, to call you, to email you, or whatever, right? And this is where we're going to start to look a little bit about human psychology. So people make decisions when they can easily see the value of what's being offered and that it helps them achieve a goal or solve a problem, right? And this is not rocket science. This is marketing 101, right? They need to see that what's being offered is either going to help them achieve a goal or solve a problem, right? And this evening, I'm going to explain why most of us have been talking to our clients and prospects in the wrong way, and how if we keep on doing it that way, we're going to lose to our competition. But the good news is that I'm also going to show you a framework that you can use to clarify your message so that clients will listen. And this framework, it'll definitely change the way that you think about marketing. It'll change the way that you think about, how you're communicating the service that you offer. It might even change the way that you actually do business, right? And so to understand how it's going to work, we're going to take a deeper look at the human psychology, right? We're going to take a deeper look at the human brain. So what is a human brain designed to do? Well, it's designed to do a bunch of different tasks, but there is one primary task above all else, right? And this is how we are evolved as human beings. And it is the brain's primary task to help us to survive and thrive. Everything else becomes secondary to that, right? And because that is the brain's primary task, the brain is constantly scanning our environment for information and for stuff, for things that will help us to survive and thrive. And the concentration that is required for the brain to observe all of these things and to take all of this sensory data and to process it, it's a huge amount of energy that's required to fuel our brains, right? It takes a lot of calories. And so there's a secondary thing that our brain is trained to do, is evolved to do, should I say, and that is to conserve calories. Because if we don't conserve calories, if we just, recklessly use all of the energy that we have, right? We have a finite amount of energy. We don't have unlimited energy, right? We have a finite amount. So on a primitive level, our brain knows that we have to conserve calories, because if we don't, we're going to exhaust all of our resources, right? We're not going to have the energy to pay attention to what's in our environment. And as a result, we'll get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, because that's what it all comes down to, right? This is, we're obviously quite a lot different to our primitive ancestors, but the brain is pretty much the same, right? It's just operating in a new environment. And so what the brain does to conserve calories and to, seek to achieve the primary goal, which is to help us survive and thrive, is to filter out anything which does not seem important to whether we survive or thrive, right? And we can do a little thought experiment to prove this, right? So I'm sure that some of you, or maybe all of you, have been through a drive-through lately, a Tim Hortons drive-through or a McDonald's drive-through or whatever. Now, I wonder how many of you remember the license plate of the car in front of you the last time you were in a drive-through, right? I would be very surprised if any of you did. You probably actually don't even remember what kind of car it was, right? You might not even remember what color it was. And that's normal, because the license plate and the type of car and the color of that vehicle that was in front of you has no impact whatsoever on whether you survive and thrive. So your brain filters it out, pays no attention whatsoever, right? Now, one thing you may remember is the person at Tim Hortons handing you your coffee, or the person at McDonald's handing you your burger, right? You might remember that moment, and the reason for that is that coffee and that burger helps you to survive and thrive. So that is something that your brain's paying attention to, right? But anything that does not serve that goal, your brain's going to tune it out. It's going to pay no attention to it. So we've got to think about what our clients and prospects are going through on a day-to-day basis, and how they are bombarded with so much sensory information. Forget the amount of marketing messages they hear, even just like, the stuff that they see, the stuff that they experience in their lives. It's so much, right? And so if we do not communicate a message that will clearly help them to achieve their goal, solve their problem, help them to survive and thrive, what do you think our clients are going to do, right? They're going to tune us out for sure. They are going to not pay attention to us. They're going to, you know, they're going to recognize that it's a waste of mental calories to try to figure out what this person is communicating to me. They don't want to know, right? And so we've got to make sure that we are not either, lacking clarity in what it is that we're telling people, and we're certainly not confusing people, because that's what we do sometimes. We confuse people. And if there's one thing that you can, be sure of in business, if you confuse, you'll lose, right? It's a categorical, unmistakable fact of business and marketing and communication. If you confuse, you lose. So the question is, how do we take this uninterested client, prospect, this person who's filtered us out, how do we change that into someone who is actually going to enthusiastically pay attention to us, hear what we have to say, right? And then hopefully become a client, hopefully take that next step, right? The best way to do that is by harnessing the power of story. And if we harness the power of story in our marketing, that's how we will get those clients paying attention to us. We'll get those clients who are so, captivated by what we say, right, that they'll be asking us questions, right? They'll be engaged with us. And the reason for this is that story is a sense-making device, right? If you think about, various different pieces of information that can be presented in certain different ways, right? If you have a document which is some kind of report, if you're not a subject matter expert in that report and there's just got details of things that have happened, things that have been measured, things that are, kind of going on, you're going to find it very, very difficult to make sense of any of it because there's no narrative, there's no story, there's just a bunch of data. Whereas story is the way that the human brain has evolved to process information and to make sense of the experiences that we have, right? That's why, the Bible has survived as the primary source of knowledge for so many years, for thousands of years, because it's full of stories, right? It's not full of information or data or details, it's full of stories. And when we engage with stories, we can follow a narrative and we can make sense of what is within those stories. It's the best way to compel a human brain to understand and then take action on something, right? And if you think about, the fact that like everybody these days is talking about how attention spans are so much shorter than they used to be. And, you've got to make things shorter and shorter and shorter. No, you can't make a 2-minute video. It has to be a 1-minute video. No, it has to be 30 seconds. Now, I agree with that to a certain extent in terms of attention spans. But it's easy that we forget that we'll quite happily sit through a 2-hour movie, right? And we'll pay attention the entire time, right? We won't tune out at all. We'll be captivated. We'll be, focusing on every single detail that happens because we don't want to miss anything. And why is that? It's because stories make sense to us. And if we follow the story, we're going to then understand the story. We're going to then see what happens. We're going to make sense of this whole thing that is being communicated. So I'm going to now show you a framework that you can use to use the power of story to create a message that is going to communicate your business to your clients and prospects, right? And there's 7 parts to it. The first part, and this is where we are going to begin, right, is the character, because that's where all stories begin. It starts by introducing a character. And the character in the story, hang on just a second, Brody, no. Sorry, my dog was just doing something he should not have been doing. When we start with a character, right, this is where we start to, initiate the story, right? We show who the character is. And one of the things that's really important that happens in a story as early as possible is that we show what the character wants, right? So if you think about any story, like if you think about, what's some universal stories, like Star Wars, for example, right? You get to know who the character is pretty early on, right? You get to know that the character is Luke Skywalker. And pretty quickly after that, you get to know, a bit about his experience, and you get to know what he wants, right? He wants to triumph over evil. He wants to avenge the death of his parents or whatever it is. He wants to, take some action to right a wrong, right? And so we get to know the character. We get to know what they want. They don't have a whole bunch of different goals, right? So if Luke Skywalker wanted to avenge, the death of his parents and triumph over evil, that's great. But if he also, wants to, get in better shape, he wants to, kind of learn how to knit a sweater. He wants to adopt a cat, right? If they start adding all of these different components in, it's too much, right? That dilutes the story. And so we've got to be really clear on who the character is and what the character wants. And in marketing, the character should always be our client. So if we can communicate who our client is and demonstrate that we know what they want, that's when we're going to start to get people to pay attention to us, right? So a real estate agent, for example, we know that our client is someone who wants to sell a home, right? And we know that they want to get the best possible return on their investment, and they want to, be able to use that to move on to the next chapter in their lives, right? It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. So that's how we communicate who is our character and what do they want. And the logic behind this is that when you agitate a customer's desire, they will enter into the story. They'll see themselves in that, and they'll say, oh, wow, that's like me, right? I want that, okay? So the next step is to introduce a problem that is being experienced by the character, right? So in a story, there's always a problem. There's always some obstacle that is preventing the character from getting what they want, right? There is always something that is stopping it from being easy for them. If there was no problem, if there was no obstacle, then there would be no story, right? So if there's a story about how, there's a person, let's say there's a teenage guy, and he really wants to get a girl, right? That's a common story. But, he doesn't have confidence. He's not particularly good looking. He's not particularly well dressed, right? He's the odds are stacked against him, right? There's a problem there, right? That's a compelling story. Whereas if the story was about this guy who wants to get a girl, and he's this really good looking, charming guy that you just look at and you think, well, of course he's going to get the girl. There's no story there. You wouldn't even pay attention to it because you know what's going to happen, right? So in the case of our client who is a seller, right, the problem might be that the market is really complicated, right? And they feel that they are not in any kind of a position to understand when to sell their home, what real estate agent they should go with, what they should do to prepare their home, whether they should get renovations done, whether they should try to sell as is. The problem is complexity, right? And so if we show that there's a character, they want something, we tell them what they want, and then we introduce a problem, that makes the story compelling, right? So principle number 2 is if you stop talking about your customers' problems, they stop paying attention to your brand. And this, again, it's not rocket science. It's not some new fad that I'm talking about here. It's not some new kind of creative, marketing angle. It's sales and marketing 101. You need to talk about your clients' problems so that they know that you understand them and they are reminded of the problems that they have, so they can take advantage. They can take action against it, right? Now, this is one of the most important parts of this whole strategy, this whole framework, right? And it's the secondary character that you got to introduce to the story. And the secondary character is the guide. So the first character, you might call them the hero, right? That's the central figure in the story. They want something, they have a problem, but they meet a guide, right? And if I go back to the Star Wars analogy, right? The guide, or there's actually a number of guides in Star Wars, but let's say the guide is Yoda, right? Yoda is an empathetic, wise individual who understands the character, they understands what he wants, and he understands the problems that the character is facing, right? And he is going to take care of that character. He's going to, he's not going to judge him. He's not going to ridicule him, right? He's going to take care of them because he understands, he empathizes with him, but he's also somebody who has the capability to overcome this problem, right? He's a Jedi master. He has the skills, he has the knowledge, he has the wisdom, right? But Yoda is not the central character. And this is the really important thing. And this is the thing that most businesses get wrong when communicating their message, right? The guide in the story that you should be telling in your marketing is you, right? You're not the hero. You're not the hero in the story. Your client is the hero in the story. You are the humble, low-key secondary character who is going to enter into that story to help the character get what they want and overcome the problem, right? Characters don't solve their own problems generally in movies and stories. And after this presentation, if you kind of have the chance to think about this while you're watching a movie or you're reading a book or whatever, you'll start to see this framework, because it exists in some way, shape, or form in almost every story, every movie, every play that's ever been created, right? There's lots of different ways that different literary experts would refer to this, but in this case, we're going to call this character the guide. So you are the guide, right? Your client, your prospect, they are at the center of their own story. They always will be, right? The whole universe revolves around them. The most important person in their lives is them, right? No matter how selfless or how how unselfish somebody is, when it comes down to it, especially in a business context, it's all about them. And so they are not looking for another hero. They're not looking for someone who's going to, kind of be this superstar, this kind of shiny, bright, incredible entity, right? That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for someone who can help guide them on their way, right? So your customer is the hero of the story, not your brand. The next part of the story, the next part of the framework, is that the guide gives the hero, the character, the guide gives them a plan, right? And so in Star Wars, Yoda, he trained Luke to find his ability and reach his potential as a Jedi, right? I don't remember the details of how he did it, but he took him through a step-by-step process, right? He didn't just, wave a magic wand, or he didn't kind of give some vague, advice. He gave them a plan. And that is what your clients and prospects want from you, right? Once you've established that you understand who they are, what they want, the problems that they're facing, and you've introduced yourself as someone who can take care of them, who understands them and empathizes with them, and also has the skill and the credential to actually help them, the next thing you need to do is to give them a plan, right? Because if you don't give them a plan, you are going to rely on them to feel confident in knowing what's going to happen if they do decide to do business with you, if they do decide to, invite you over for a listing presentation, if they do decide to, sign you as their realtor, right? They'll only do that if they've got a really kind of clear idea of what's going to happen next. If there's a certain amount of unknown about that, if they can't really see like what's going to happen next, they won't make that decision, right? So you've got to give them a plan, and you've got to give them a really, really straightforward plan. If you think about if you were on a hike with some friends, right, and you're the experienced hiker, you're guiding the rest of the group, and you get to you get to a river, and the river's rushing, and people are looking at it and thinking, oh wow, that looks really dangerous. I'm not sure if we can get to the other side. If you're just like, no, of course we can. Yeah, let's go. People are going to be like, no way, I'm not doing that, right? Whereas as the experienced guide, if you were to say to them, hey guys, look, if we step down onto this part of the riverbed, right, you'll notice that there's a massive rock there, right? All we need to do is get to that rock, and then you'll see two other rocks right, that are pretty close to each other. So you step onto the second rock, you step onto the third rock, and then you just do a little jump and you're on the other side, right? They're going to go, oh, okay, yeah, that's clear. That doesn't seem intimidating. That doesn't seem scary, right? Yeah, I'm gonna follow your plan and I'm gonna go to the other side. Got to do exactly the same thing with our clients in our marketing, right? And story brand marketing principle number 4 is that your customer needs an easy step-by-step plan to move forward, or they won't move at all. They'll give you, oh, I need to think about it, or I'll get back to you. I'll, whatever. There's all kinds of, ways to handle objections and, kind of rebuttals and all the rest of it. And those can be useful sometimes, but often the issue is not that they've got an objection. It's just that they don't know what's going to happen next. They don't feel that, they don't feel any clarity about where you're going to take them. So therefore, they're not going to go with you, right? Okay, we are getting through this. We've got 3 more left, right? Sorry, technically 4, but you'll see why I said 3, right? Once you've done all of those things, right? You've given them a plan. They've seen how easy it is to do business with you, right? The one thing that often people fail to do in their marketing is to give them a call to action, right? And without being called to action, the character in a story often won't do it, right? They'll often just, kind of procrastinate, pause, hesitate, or whatever. If you think about it, in the most compelling stories that you've seen in books and movies and whatever else, the character often has to be pushed, right? So I'm not saying you need to become a pushy salesperson, right? Because in this day and age, in 2024, 2025, that doesn't really work anymore. And that's probably not what you want to do anyway. But you need to call them to action. You need to give them a very clear next step to take, right? And you need to not forget to do that. And it needs to be clear as well. It can't be like, kind of start your journey here, right? A button on a website. Or you can't be like, hey, reach out if you, would like any more information about this, right? It should be, call me on this number to book a consultation, right? If you're on the website, click here to receive a free home valuation. Needs to be super, super clear, right? And the reason it needs to be super clear is because unless you clearly call people to action, they won't take action. Okay. Now, there are 2 additional things that we need to do in order to ensure that our clients will be in the best possible position to move forward with us, right? And that is to clearly highlight what is at stake, right? So you've given them all of the information they need, right? To understand that you understand them and their problems. You've got what it takes to help them, right? You've got a plan, right? That they can see is going to get the job done, and you've called them to action. But these 2 last steps, this could make the difference between whether they decide to move forward or not, right? So you are telling them what the result is going to be. First of all, if they go with you, right? And that's to highlight what the success is. So in the case of, a seller, right? So, book a consultation with me, and I will create a customized plan so that you will get the maximum sale price for your property, and you'll be able to move on to the next chapter of your life in a way that your family deserves, right? That's the success. You've got to paint the picture for them. And then what you've got to do is you also got to show what the failure looks like, right? And this is done in stories as well. There's a certain point in the movie or in the book where you know very clearly what's at stake, right? You know that if what do you call him, the Hobbit from Lord of the Rings, if Frodo manages to destroy the ring, right, then Middle Earth is going to be restored to peace, and the dark forces are going to be overcome, and everything's going to be great in the Shire again, right? So that's what's going to happen. But if he doesn't destroy the bloody ring, right, then the world is going to end as we know it, right? The dark forces are going to, kind of take complete control, and everybody's going to be screwed, right? You know very, very clearly what's going to happen. It's like you're creating a fork in the road. And in marketing, this is what you got to do. You got to create that fork in the road and show them what's going to happen if they decide to go with you, right, and accept your offer, but also what's going to happen if they decide to not use you for their real estate needs. And that's because if there are no consequences for not doing business with you, there's no reason for not doing business with you. Why would someone hire you if there's no consequences for them to just figure out themselves or do whatever, right? So that's the 7-part framework of how you can clarify your marketing message so that your prospects and your clients will listen. So something to ask yourself, right? Is the story that you are telling clear and compelling, right? If you really try to be honest with yourself, if you look at your website, if you look at what you say on social media, whether it's in a video or in a post or whatever, are you communicating a clear and compelling story, or are you communicating too much about yourself and not enough about the client, right? Or are you communicating things in a way that doesn't really make sense? I mean, it makes sense to you, but is a seller who has a million and one things going through their mind, are they going to instantly connect to it and understand that that's what they need, right? Be honest with yourself and ask yourself, is the story that I'm telling in my marketing clear and compelling? If it is, well done. If it's not, fix it, and I'll show you how to fix it, right? So here's some next steps for you. There is a fantastic book, and this is where all of this comes from. It's called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, right? I didn't make all of this up. Maybe I should have said that at the beginning. This is a proven framework that is used by tons and tons of businesses around the world, right? So that's the first thing. Read this book. What you should do next is to create a brand script, and that's basically an outline of what your marketing message that you want to communicate to clients should sound like, right? Create a brand script that will help you to clarify your message so that you can stop wasting money on marketing material and actually have your marketing work for you, right? And then you should clarify all of your marketing material so it reflects this new, clear, and powerful message. Try to bring everything into alignment. So you're not talking about one thing over here and one thing over there. Yes, you're going to be talking about different aspects of your service, and you're going to be talking about, some of the different elements of your business, but make sure it all aligns. Make sure that you are telling the same story. It's all part of one bigger story that is all about your client, who they are, what they want, what problems they are facing, right? And how you can enter their story as the helpful guide who is going to help them along their way. Give them a plan, call them to action, and lead them away from failure to the success that they are looking for. And if you do that, if you can do that effectively, you will close more deals. You will get less people saying, I'm going to call you back. Let me think about it. Oh, I'm not too sure, right? They'll be sure, right? And this is the way to do it. So, final slide, and I've probably taken up a little bit longer than I was allocated, which I apologize for. But if you want to get a free ebook of this book, Building a Story Brand, right? If you text the word story brand and your email address to that phone number that's on the screen now, we'll send you the first 3 chapters of this, right? It's a fairly quick read, right? It's an absolutely compelling read. And the first 3 chapters go in depth into all of those 7 things that I've led you through, right? And it's also a good way to decide whether you want to actually go out and buy the book, right? But you can get the first 3 chapters for free if you text the word story brand and then text your email address to that number, and I would be happy to send it to you. And with that, does anybody have any questions? Richard?
Yeah, man, that was amazing, man. Thank you so much. In the session with the character, I definitely see how it played out. Initially, I thought the main character was the business owner or the realtor or whatever, but I like how you said that their job is to help that main character get through that journey, right? And things that stood out was, like you said, when people are watching a movie, they'll sit there for the 2 hours because they're always being engaged. Like, these are the aha moments that I got from taking what you're saying, and that's true. As long as you keep them engaged with a story, then they'll stay for however long you need them to stay for, right? And also, when you come with a plan and you create a plan with them, when you're actually sitting down with them, that is what they're looking for, right? So I'm just reflecting and seeing like those certain things with dealing with certain clients, and you're absolutely right. They want that guidance. They want you to pretty much show them, okay, this is where we need to go, right? So yeah, man, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Cool. Anybody else have any questions? Do we have anything in the chat?
I think Isack had his hand up. Isack, did you have your hand up there, or? Oh, he's giving a thumbs up. He's giving a thumbs up. Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. John Reid, if you see, he went in detail, and he is a social media marketing expert, a photographer. Like, he's in there in the trenches with many different people, many different businesses and stuff. So, the formula that he's saying, make sure I hope you took pieces of that, because, based on his stipulation, the replay, we can't play his part of the replay. It's exclusive. So if you're on here live, then you got the exclusive, you got the information. Hopefully you got some notes down, right? And from there, use them. I'm definitely going to use, the things that you're talking about. Like, definitely, now that I'm more aware of it, and definitely have it on the front line. So thank you so much, John. Appreciate you.
Welcome. Welcome.
All right, guys. Best for cash flow session. This is the kind of stuff that we're talking about. This is the kind of information that we're here to give you on this session. So, I want to give you a round of applause for tuning into this session, but make sure that you are asking questions. Like, if there are certain things that maybe you want to sharpen up the tool in what you have going on, make sure that you ask those questions, right? And we have our next speaker that's coming and join us as well right now, Isack. Isack, yeah, I wanted to say your last name, so that people know who you are, and please tell them what you're here to share with them on this session.
I'm Isack Ghebreyesus.
Ghebreyesus.
Yes, sir.
All right. Why don't you talk to us, man? The floor is yours, man.
All right. And good evening, everybody, and good afternoon, if some of you are getting from Vancouver side. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. And I'll share a little bit about myself before I get into the presentation. I moved the country back 2016, August. And when I come in, and I asked a lot of people, and I was not happy with the questions that I asked with the answer that I was getting. And everybody was saying, like, hey, it's Canada, you need to face it. And I found out, and the more I ask about money, I find a lot of people don't know anything. And they told me, hey, just wait, you'll be one of us one day. And I was searching, and I figured out, I said, okay, you know what? If this thing is not available for me, I'm going to get into finance. And that's what exactly I did. And I will share with certain things that I wanted to share in my screen. And for me, I like to be simple. And I don't know, you guys can, okay, I'm not allowed to share, Richard.
Yeah, you should be good to go. Just gotta type in share screen. You should be good to go.
All right.
You have to. Okay, my bad. The TV one is the one that we give access to. Now you're good. You're good to go. Go ahead.
Beautiful. Only the host can share the screen meeting, and not.
Try again. You're good.
Let's see. Broadcast. Do you see my screen on?
You're good now, right?
I believe so. One second. Let me just share one thing. Let's start screen broadcasting. Okay. Allow me 1 second, because I don't know, this thing is not sharing.
Yeah, so go there by share it at the bottom there, and then
yeah.
If anything, close it and then open it again. Maybe when you first tried to share, it wasn't sharing. So
Amit. So you see my screen now. Different lighting, but it's fine. Think you can see my screen now, right?
Yeah. You're good. You're good.
Beautiful. All right, let's go back here now. All right. So I was reading a quote says, "Don't hate, create." And the things that I didn't find when I was new, I become advocate for it. And I found out a lot of people, we live in a country where, in a writing, it's called the richest country, but a lot of people struggle with money. Actually, forget about and other things that the big things that can be done in the country because there is a lot of access to it. That's why we do these webinars. But what if actually you can learn simple steps, then you can have a better or bigger goals in the future. A lot of time people say that they talk about bigger, but if you see a building, it's made of small bricks. That's why you see a whole building, but it's actually made with every small brick needs to be properly fitted so you can have a bigger building. So when you do the same thing in your finances, you need to kind of lay it down so you don't have to go back every time, back and forward. So you build it up, you break it down, so you have to come back again. So how to create, a sustainable cash flow. It's not only bringing money in, actually keeping it, investing it, and growing it in the long term so you can build wealth. A lot of time people, they chase the raise, but raise never made life better. Is the way you handle money, the relationship that you have with the money, that thing makes a bigger difference. Raise never makes somebody's life better. Is the way you handle money can turn around the raise, become something better for you. Because if you get a little bit increase, what do you do with it? So usually when you get the first time job, what you do is you go spend it on something, or you go for a dinner, or you throw a party, because what? That's how we are designed as Americans or Canadians, right? Because it's North America, everyone has to spend money. If you don't have money, what? You go credit. So a lot of people, a lot of clients that I know personally do a lot of consumer proposal because they borrow a lot of money from credit cards, this Fairstone, payday loan, all these things. So your cash is tied up because you borrow a lot of money, then you cannot invest to create cash flow. So the small mistakes that we do, starting from daily activity that we spend, and the bigger amount of loans, it can be car loans, it can be credit card, all this. I don't know if you guys seen them, this payday loan, Fairstone, all this. These people are like a massive distraction to the community because they borrow money with no credit, with nothing, but they charge a lot of interest. Recently, I met with a client. The client borrowed 10,000. Richard, he was paying 600 a month for 4 years.
Very.
600. If you make the numbers, it's 20,800 that he's going to pay in the next 4 years. You can borrow to invest, but not this, guys. You got to look at your finance something different, because you don't just want an instant cash, but you want something that you can sustain and maintain. So usually when I talk, I sit down with clients or people, I ask one thing, like, what's your short-term goal? Let's say I just signed up today for one of my clients. I was sitting, I said, like, alternative of income in case of this disability. Let's say if you have a mortgage, if you have a family, if something would happen to you, Richard, who's going to pay the mortgage? Or who's going to pay the investment properties that's going around, that's not rented yet? Building safe unexpected. What about emergency fund? I was talking to you last time, Richard, and I was like, people say, like, I don't have money. I said, like, well, before you get into this thing, didn't you have emergency fund that can sustain it for 6 months? What if buying a new home? Helping aging parents? Everything should be considered. You should consider all aspects of your goals in order to make it solid. Then we look at midterm goal, building retirement wealth, buy another home, maybe it can be a rental. Go long-term goal, building. In this country, they talk about retirement, but I talk about how about you can build a cash flow, or how can you build something that you can stand, you can retire. Retirement not meant to be 65. Average people, they live 10, 15 years after retirement. So figure out your short-term goal, your midterm, and your long-term goal when you're dealing with your finance. Then you will have more peace of mind because you're in track for all of them, because you work in 3 of them all together: short, mid, and long-term goal. What are you actually working? What's your goal? Write down a paper and take down. So keeping more of what you make can be done with financial education. You can keep actually more than that you make. You can reduce your taxes through IRS. So you can use for a first home, like buying, or you can use FSHA to reduce your taxes at the end of the year. You can actually keep more money towards you, but that requires education and discipline. A lot of people, you make $52,000, especially in Ontario, you pay $14,000 taxes, which is, you almost got like $38,000 in your pocket. Then some of it will go to rent or a mortgage, and some of it you have to go spend it, pay sales taxes on it. So you pay significant amount of taxes every time you make. So you can reduce your taxes by using RRSP or FSHA if you don't buy the first home. And also, you can
keep down your spending, the coffee that you drink outside, the lunch that you eat outside that you don't need, that you're supposed to eat at home. Minimizing those things helps you to save a lot of money day to day. So keeping more of what you make. Don't you want to do the same thing? You don't want to work all your life, so you want to keep something. So at certain age, if you decide to stop, what happens? You say, you know what, hey, I'm out. Because what? Because I can afford to maintain my lifestyle from my investment and my savings. Remember I said in the first step, sustainable cash flow. A lot of people have cash flow coming in through work, but they don't actually keep anything because they have debt obligation, they have expense obligation that they have to spend, and nothing is really staying. So you need to be properly educated. So you need to understand, like, the pennies. You need to keep the pennies so the dollar will take off itself. You need to maintain small habits, over a long period of time so you can build that something for you. I will share with you that's a lot of time that we share with our clients. And we talk about financial foundation. When you build a house, imagine, Richard, if a house with a bad basement, probably wouldn't recommend their client because it costs them a lot of money, isn't it? Same thing, when you get in, when you start in building a financial fund, you should consider something called protection. You should protect your liability. You should protect your asset because what? Whatever you start, you want it to finish it. You don't want to be hesitant. If I'm sick, if I pass away, my liability and my debt will be paid off. So whatever I own will go to my family, no headache. You should reduce liability. Have bad debt, but eliminate completely bad debt, like credit cards. Also, line of credit. If you're doing it for some other business, fine, you can use it. But if you're using it to spend, don't do so. To avoid that, you need to create emergency fund 3 to 6 months. All your expenses calculated, not assumptions, not like you take only the big ones, take everything. Even if you're spending, you drink coffee, you do all this thing, calculate it. Say like, hey, my emergency fund is $4,000 a month. Then if I go for 3 months, it's 12. I go for 6, 24,000. Sudden change, you can lose your job. You don't want to have heart attack when you lose your job because you just bought a home. What if you have emergency fund? In the next 6 months, probably you can become a better person because you have a confidence, you can pay off your 6 months upfront expenses. And then investment. Most people tell me investment is supposed to come first. It is already first. That's what we see. You don't see your basement on your living. You see whatever it's upstairs because it's something needs to be decorated. It's something goes for long term. You need to maintain it properly. So you need to lay foundation. If I have to build a high rise that go 30 high, I need to lay proper foundation for it. So if you wanted to go far with your finances, you want to go far with your, with building walls and sustainable cash flow, you need to maintain a proper foundation. Otherwise, if you borrow a lot of money from line of credit because the interest was low, when it increased, what happened? You're going to create stress on you. When you don't have emergency fund, what happened? You always liquidate your kids' saving, retirement, all this thing. Then you just pay the home. So Canadians, they are called what? They're cash poor, asset rich. They have houses, people who stay longer, but they usually have nothing at all. It's average Canadian, guess what? They have 57,000 saving on their account because they just focus on one thing, paying off the debt. You pay car loan, you pay line of credit, you pay for credit card, 3 times, 4 times, you get into massive debt, you pay it off, then by the time you get out, you're 65. So you need to build your house from ground up. Focus on having protection. If you become sick, in Canadian, from 5 people, 1% gets cancer or other critical illnesses. What if you manage your debt? What if you can have emergency fund up to 6 months? You feel more comfortable walking on the street, because if you get laid off, they call you, you'll be fine because you have 6 months to find a job. What about investment? This is something that you build over long term so you can build wealth. But you focus on making money, but you need to have something that can help you grow your money. It can be real estate, it can be other investments. First, change yourself to money-making machine. You need to sell your skills, sell your time, make a lot of money. But at the same time, you need to grow with your money in a long term. But also, when you're building this, you need to protect yourself. So there's something I call as a wealth formula. When you invest, investing is not gambling. It's not like, oh, this thing reached this much. You cannot rush something that's hot already because whatever goes up goes down. So you need to understand when you bring money, you need to save money. You need to give it time. It needs to be invested. It needs to grow. it needs to outpace inflation. It needs to grow 3+%. Then you pay taxes. Then at the end, you say, I have wealth. Otherwise, some people have money. They don't want to give time. They want to rush it. So they find something that's hot. They pick it. After 2 years, it slows down. They want to sell it. It goes lower. So everything that you're not aiming to have it 5 years plus, don't even invest on it. Because you will feel like you're wasting a lot of money. And also you're emotionally manipulated because you don't understand the market. Whatever goes up, it goes down. So you need to look up your history to get the average, but nobody knows what the future comes in. That's why when you aim longer, if you see 5, 10 years, you always acquire growth. Where's the money? A good number of people always seem to have money problems. Most of the time, they're short of funds. Warren Buffett advised, do not save what's left after spending what? Spend what's left after saving. First save, then what? Then spend after. Most people say like, you know what? I'm saving. They tell me, how are you saving? I said, do you have a TFSA or non-registered account or RSP that goes every month? They tell me, no. I save in my account. I tell them probably the expense is too low. As soon as your expense increase, you wouldn't save anything. They say that's true. That's why we need to set up some plans. So for short, mid, and long-term goals. I like this idea because this is something that I teach a lot. Is pay yourself. Every time you make money, you need to pay yourself because you are the guy who made a lot of money of it. You made the money. So what do you have to do? You need to pay yourself. If you pay the car loan, all other payments for all these creditors, but what do you feel if you pay yourself? That means if you stop working tomorrow, what's going to happen? None of this will be paid off. Then you will be, they will lay you off or they will take you out from work. Something will happen because you need to pay yourself consistently based on, so buy what you need. So manage your expenses. You know, in this country, you buy, nothing finishes. Every iPhone will be updated every 6 months or 10 months. I don't know. They keep updating it. Every clothes or shoes that you want, they bring another brand. Then you're going to keep buying and never finishes. That's why they told them because they want to dump all this garbage. That's why they call it the Black Friday or Cyber Monday or Christmas, all this thing, because they want to throw the garbage that they collect the whole year. That's why they give us a day off so you can buy this stuff. So they throw it out. Then next year they bring new stuff. Then you buy again. Because these holidays that they call shopping holidays is because they want to throw it out. They cannot sell it next year. So what they do is they give us day off so you can go shopping. Nothing wrong if you like to go shopping, but I said if you're struggling with money, you need to stop doing those things because you don't need the stuff that if you don't need, don't buy it. Because you're just gonna have you will have a lot of stuff that you don't need at home, and you're not gonna have nothing in the bank. There was a guy that last time was saying, Richard, we were here together too, and he said, I had more in my bag than in my bank account. That means he had more of the stuff that he doesn't want. So he was taking a keeper, and then he said, I stopped buying the stuff that I don't want. So I say all the time, small change, big money. So if you are 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever age you are, let's say you're struggling with saving, start small. Can you save $75 a week? Or can you save $150 bi-weekly for the next 30 years if you're planning to retire? Just put $75. If you're 20, if you're 25, 30, I don't know. But if you're making more money, actually you start putting more. If it grows at 8%, only invest in 30 is 108,000, but you have 444,000. What if you can invest $20 a day? That's 600. At 600 at 8% is what? 894,000. You have no excuse. If you can't save your 10% of your income, you can completely change your life. But when you have a goal, what's gonna happen? Your income increase your saving. Don't buy the stuff that you don't change that car if you don't have to. You buy it one time, don't change it every 5, 6 years. Even if you make more money, keep saving. Those are seizable amount for retirement, can be some personal luxuries. You work in your job 40 years, even if you pay them 40 years, CPP, old age security, GIS, the money that they give you is almost nothing. So you can do if you are actually saving like quarter of that tax that you were paying in a month. So you need to make small change in your life that you decide that I'm going to start saving, I'm going to start building habits. Imagine somebody just come out from high school and goes to work, starts saving 1,000 because he stays with his mom and dad. He can save significant amount of money, invest it, reach his goal very fast. But we need to give them the tools and understanding. I don't believe there is lack of resources, but there is lack of direction. So taxes in this country, man, they like us. Benjamin Franklin said, nothing is certain except there's in taxes. You make money, they tax you. You spend money, you go shopping, they tax you. You save money, they tax you. You die, they tax you. From sales taxes to income tax to property taxes, estate tax, every other tax, anywhere you run, the tax collectors wait for you. Imagine you pay all these people, they find all the wars, all these stupid things they find with the money. Guess what? And you're broke but you find everything because every time you make, they snatch the tax out of you. So if you cannot save certain amount of money, 10, 15% of your income, guess what? Every dream that you have will shatter. That's why now build the discipline. Every time you raise an income, think of, I need to own something. I need a sustainable cash flow, so I don't need to buy the stuff that I don't need. Stay simple, then also save more. In Canada, we have these three different accounts. We call them tax now, tax later, tax advantage. So when you have little money, tax is not really a problem. You have only problem with income taxes. But when you start investing and growing your money, taxes become a real problem because you wanted to know, where's my money? Is it tax now? Every year I have to claim taxes on small or big growth that I made. Or tax later, that means I don't pay tax now on this all retirement, kids education plan, pension, CPP, all this security. You don't pay tax now, but you pay tax at the time you're withdrawing out. And there are accounts called tax advantage account, TFSA, tax free saving account. You can invest there your money. Every Canadian can invest $7,000 every year, plus the other rooms contribution that you missed the past years if you were in Canada. You can invest this money completely tax free. And a lot of people don't use it. But I said, like, okay, if you have extra money, why not invest $7,000 every year tax free? Life insurance benefits can be critical illness, it can be life, individual critical illness, any benefits, and also Richard knows this one better. Primary residence, your first home. If you live in it, maintain it, and if you sell it, you get lucky, you make some money there, you don't pay tax on it. So you need to understand also taxes because as you grow, the biggest liability as well, debt and taxes are the two things. If there was no income taxes, most Canadians wouldn't have debt because that will go towards whatever extra expense that you're paying, so you should be fine. But because of taxes now, and also tax layer of our money, that pension, all these things, they take almost more than 50% of our money goes to taxes. So when we plan, we should sit down and analyze a short-term goal, mid-term goal, long-term goal, and also we should look at taxes. I like this one, and I talk about it a lot. It's called 10-20. Simplify your life. Understand, I need 10 times of my income. If something would happen to me, I need 10 times of my income to the family so they can live for the next 10 years. And also if I retire, I need what? 20 times of my income. You can reach it through different ways. But think that if you want to have 20 times of your income, it will be hard for you to retire. If you increase your income, you should increase your goal. But you know what I see in this country? As people earn more, they owe more money. Credit card, car loan, they change that car, they change this, they change that, they keep borrowing more money. As people have more income, they struggle more. You can tell me life expenses increasing. Of course, yeah, it increases certain things, but you cannot increase everything together. You cannot increase your income, start buying more clothes at the same time. Or start eating outside more that you were not doing before you change your job. Keep your life simple, keep saving and investing because life changes. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. These things will change your life. Because if I make 100,000, Richard, I spend 100,000, I didn't make no money. So example, if you have 50,000 of income, consider having protection for
Hey,
10.
how do those pants fit? Do you like them?
Oh, you gotta mute.
Try them on.
What is this? All right. So you need 10 times of your income and you need 20 times of your income as a retirement.
for Christmas, we're going to be playing the Christmas Eve. We're going to play the
As
steel
well. Can you mute yourself,
game and stuff.
Richard? Someone is talking, so if you can mute them.
Yeah, we got it muted. We got it muted.
Okay. So, for example, if you make 50,000 a year, then the life insurance net is 500,000. You don't have to like it, but it's part of the planning. If you jump, if you don't want to do the basement properly, if you don't want the proper inspection, if you're buying a home, that's fine. You can do that, but what's going to happen? You struggle later on. This amount of money would allow you surviving spouse or taking off your limit for the next 10 years. And you need 20 times of that as a saving. That should be, you need at least $1 million and a 1.1 saving. It can be an investment that brings in cash to you, whatever other thing, but you need to know your goal and you need to know how to reach it. It needs to be clear so you can see it, you can feel it, and you can materialize it one day. So you need to have your goal very solid. Okay? So this comes. Make it a mission to change your future. It's your responsibility. It's not government responsibility. It's not Trudeau, conservative, all this Trump, Biden. There's nobody's responsibility. It's your responsibility. You are the guy who makes change. Increase your cash flow. Make more money. These people will keep changing and nothing they will bring, but they'll become more richer for them because they get a job, right? Not you. Make more money. While you can have multiple source of income, spend less. Reduce your debt, especially unnecessary debts that you cannot sell them back. They don't bring money when you sell them. Get rid of them. Understand how money works. If you keep it, it will work for you. If you don't keep it, if you don't take care of it, what's going to happen? You're just going to keep losing it. Then every dollar you spend today, you have to work double time to put it back, the dollar you spent yesterday and the new dollar that you want to save today. So when you overspending, you're not only spending, but you're buying, you're selling the future time. When you borrow a car that you pay for 7 years, that means you lost 7 years. You're paying back from, whatever you spent, but you pay it on the future, not on the past. Have a financial goal. Set up a plan of action. Take care of your responsibilities. Build up your wealth. Look at, if you want to have a real estate portfolio, look at it as solid. Talk with richer other people that will help you to plan. If you have other things that you want to plan your retirement, sit with a financial planner that have a licensed financial planner. Then you look at your finances. Where am I? Where I wanted to go. But start to save is how much. It's not how much. It is not how much. It is how disciplined you are to save. A lot of people may buy a quick home, but they may struggle, may end up selling it. They'll be renting for their whole life because they lack a solid financial planning. I have clients who buy a home and the main source of income person dies, they have to sell it. They're lucky they were able to sell. What if it was like this market? Can they sell it? What if they cannot sell it? Start with small amount, increase gradually. Look at, how much you can save. And with the savings, see what can you leverage and invest. But you don't need a lot of money to start. But you need the discipline to believe in what you're doing, clarify your vision. Because increase my cash flow, spend less, reduce my debt liability, If I borrow, I pay on time because I don't want to pay interest. Embrace change and expect success. Change your habits. If you want to have a good relationship with money, start keeping it, start saving and investing it. Then when you start having it, you have, you'll have good feeling about it. Then it becomes your buddy, it becomes your friend. Not only can change the way you think, you must also change your habits. 2 things that you can change. 2 things that you can make a great change to your life are books that you read and the people you meet. If your friends are consistently talking about money and complaining, don't hate them, but you gotta kind of run away because you're the guy that you already start planning and you focus on growth. That becomes your main priority. Expect to succeed. Always expect success because you need to have, when you have a vision, you have a mission, what you do? You meet with people that, give you a better understanding in the things that you want to do. You don't win or lose overnight. You win or you lose by degree. If you want to win, make the way towards winning, step by step. Richard last time was telling me people need instant gratification. They want it now. This is nowadays happens, right? People, they want it now. But usually it doesn't work that way.
It does work. It may look like it worked, but what happens? People, if they want to retire fast and they have bad habits of spending, usually these people, they don't end up retiring. They work until they die. But the people who avoid buying things now, they can retire faster. They can retire at 55, not 65. But the people who overspend, they end up retiring at 75. Then they die right after their retirement. So expect to succeed, but you need to have a solid plan. See the word, there are people who are better off than you, but there are a lot of more than worse off. You're special. You know that you're somebody and you can do a lot of great things, but you need a solid financial planning. You need a direction so you can do better in life. There is no lack of especially in Western. There is no lack of resources, but you may have lack of connection. Keep more, spend less. It is not how much you make, but how much you keep. It's how you start, but it's how you finish. If you go into some kind of investment, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. How long can you stay? How long can you endure? You got to start planning. So that was it, Richard, for me. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Isack. Yeah, very informative. I appreciate all the information and you went in detail, and you made it make sense. Have that foundation. Right now we're invested for cash flow. We're learning business ideas. We're learning how to generate more income. But it's very important that our income, we have a nice platform for it. It's in a foundation. We have a safety net. There's something that's holding us up. Especially in this time right now. Like he said, taxes, 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 taxes. US, you see even over there now they're putting all these plans for people to save on taxes, and the Canadian government they're giving their last hope right now, where they want to make us save for the next 2 months our taxes, right? And that segues so perfectly into our next session, which is in terms of how is the real estate market, and we're going to get into our next speaker because like each session we've been looking at these charts, right, in terms of how's the real estate market. And if you're in the Greater Toronto area, we have the Trev stats on here, and on the Trev stats, we're looking and we're seeing in the Greater Toronto area, the sales have actually increased in terms of sales numbers from last month. It went up a lot, about 42%, right? And then we have new listings has increased as well in terms of new listings on the market, which is positive. Right, the average price per home has increased as well. We've seen a big drop and a big dip happening. Dollar volume month to month has increased. Leased units have increased. The only thing that has actually decreased is the cost of rental, right? So if we look at the chart over here, and we got to look at the overall trend, right? Because the overall trend is really what's going to give us a clear perspective on what's really happening in the market right now. We're looking for it to push up, but as it's loading up, let's take a look here. How's the real estate market? We've seen that the finance minister of Canada actually stepped down, and our Prime Minister Trudeau had to pick LeBlanc, I guess they're highlighting a loyalist, because it seems like he didn't want to do what he said anymore, right? Because clearly, in terms of how he's been managing, just like how Isack's been saying, it hasn't been proper. And, as a country, we're seeing that first off. Not only that, but even the housing minister stepped down. Now, the government's falling apart, right? Because how's the real estate market? They look at the Canadian government, right? And right now, pretty much, we're looking at the chart and we're looking at the overall trend. We've seen in March 2022, that's when we're at our peak. That's when sales were high. Prices were going over, bidding wars is happening, but we see how it's trending down right here, right? And we're looking May 2023, mid last year, we've seen that high has dropped, right? We had lower highs and lower lows, right? We've seen over here, and then we came up over here earlier this year in April around the spring market. It picked up a little bit, but then it dropped over here, and it peaked last month. Right. And, now we have interest rates and stuff that came up, but now we have this recent news, and stuff. So we're seeing a little bit of a dip, but we are still midway in the month, so let's see how the end of the month goes and if the market does pick up. Right. And, for showing that, it goes perfectly into our next guest, who is Sarah Lunn. She's also a realtor and a social media expert. She's going to share with us more of that stuff. And with Isack and as well as John, guys, we'll have questions as well at the end too if you have questions. But throughout the session, any questions, post them so we can get to them after. But Sarah, welcome to Investor Cashflow.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so I'm just going to go into a bit about talking about myself first and introduce myself. So my name's Sarah Lunn. I am 21 years old. I've been working in real estate ever since I was in high school. I kind of knew it was always my passion. I co-opted at a RE/MAX office in grade 11 and 12 in high school. And then straight out of high school, I started working as a real estate assistant. And then I started working at the front desk at Century 21 United. And then I moved up to managing the front desk. And then I thought, seeing all these agents do all these deals, that I was like, I want to do that myself. And so I decided to get my license. And so I haven't been licensed that long. I've only been licensed for 3 months now. But I've really used social media to kind of build my brand and be able to attract some clients through there. So I've been posting on social media for over 2 years now about real estate. That's kind of how I grew my following and kind of how I established myself. So when I did become licensed, I did sell a house in the first week and a half that I was licensed, which I would not be able to do that if I wasn't posting long before that, because a lot of my followers, they actually thought I was already a real estate agent, already licensed. So I had a couple people reach out, which I was able to refer them to licensed real estate agents at the time, which kind of also got my foot in the door and helped me in that situation. And so one thing that I strive with in real estate is real estate. As a real estate agent, that is your brand. You have to build a brand. And so with social media, it's great to be able to share your story, talk about your marketing story, your listings, show your personality, show a bit of fun along the way. And so I do a lot of posting on TikTok and Instagram, and the way that I like to use my 6 pillars of social media, I call it, I do entertainment posting, education, behind the scenes, success stories, real estate, and being relatable. So entertainment, it could be anything from, you don't have to post just about real estate. A lot of real estate agents, they only post like just listed or solds or the stats posts. That doesn't really get a lot of attraction and engagement. So posting about even like your family, maybe you have pets, maybe you like home decor, maybe you are into sports, or maybe you're into cooking. It doesn't really matter what you post about, just be genuine to yourself and post about things that you enjoy, and then clients will see it, and then it's a lot more relatable, and people can connect with you a lot more that way. So I post a lot about fashion, and I like to travel, and I post a lot about just like maybe cooking, home decor, which a lot of times when I post those things in my story or I do a reel about it, it does get a lot more engagement, which that leads into a conversation with my clients, and then that leads into talking about buying or selling, or like maybe that could be talking about relocating or just talking about what's going on in the market. And so the next is education. So I do think you do need to speak about what's going on in the market, stats updates, but make it a little bit more fun. So instead of posting those standard like block posts that you get sent from your brokerage of like stats and just the numbers, make it a little bit more fun, make a reel out of it, talk. I mean, people love to see, people that are following you want to see you. That's why they're following you. So, I mean, posting your face, maybe talking about what's going on in the market, or even doing like a video of behind the scenes and having the text go on the screen. People love to just see genuinely you being you. And so success stories. A lot of agents will say, don't post the just sold or just listed or this award you got because it looks flashy or salesy. I do think you need to post that. I mean, people need to see your successes, and those do get quite a bit of engagement as well. People usually will comment on, if you go to like top 21 this month or whatever, you do get a lot of engagement on those, and people need to see your successes to understand that they can trust you and that you do actually sell homes and that you're not just posting this facade on the internet. And so real estate. Some people don't post their listings. I still feel like you do need to post your listings and the stats and tell some success stories and your seller stories. I mean, it's not like it used to be in COVID where you're getting 20 offers on a property in 1 week and it sells $200,000 over asking. So, you know, people, they are really wanting to know what's happening in the market right now and what are people experiencing. I mean, tell them your success stories, even tell them your failure stories. I mean, it doesn't really matter. They just love to hear the real story of what's happening in the market. What are people experiencing? And yeah. And relatability. So I always feel like you have to be relatable on the internet. I mean, a lot of people, when they look at your social media feed, I want to be able to feel like I kind of know who you are by looking at your social media, you know, and then that can translate into when you go and meet a client from social media, they already have that connection because they already feel like they know you. They already feel like they know your personality, that they like maybe have saw your family on your social media. Maybe they know you already have a dog or that, oh, you live on like this, or you live on the lake, something like that. And so share your success stories on there as well. I mean, just be relatable, share a funny story. It doesn't have to be all about real estate and stats and homes. Another thing that a lot of people talk about is, oh, I don't have the followers to get clients on social media. That's a lot of things that I hear that nowadays you don't have to have a lot of followers to get clients on social media and to be able to work with people through social media. I don't have a lot of followers across TikTok and Instagram. I have just over 7,000 followers, which I started really posting consistently on social media when I only had 3,000 followers and was able to grow that over the past year and now. So I do think that's a great accomplishment of mine. And also, it doesn't have to be just about you. It can be about your community. Even collabing with small businesses is a great way to gain new followers. Usually the business, maybe they'll post it on their story and tag you as well. It's also good to get out in the community, do some local events, and maybe you can post about those and just kind of share your story. Another thing that I like to do is also posting on my Instagram story daily. So I try and post on there at least like 3 times a day is usually a good amount. I don't really recommend posting a lot on your story unless you kind of are used to doing that and your followers are used to you doing that, just because it kind of can get a little spammy. I know some people don't like when people post a lot because it gets a little spammy and then they tend to unfollow. But post about like engaging posts. So you could post stuff like polls do really well for me. So it could be, you could post a house and be like, what do you think this house was worth? And then do different price points. Or it could be something about the market and do a poll. It could be questions. Q&As do really well for me as well. So posting, just do like a selfie in the mirror and say like, any questions about the real estate market and share those on your story. And then it gets a lot of engagement, which also, even if it doesn't get a lot of people reacting to it, sometimes people will send you a DM and talking to you about it. Another thing that I want to talk about is DMing and direct messaging through other platforms. So how I kind of started my business was when I first got licensed, I DM'd all my friends and all my family that I had on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, just saying, hi, I'm a licensed realtor now. Reach out if you have any questions about what's happening in the market or if you'd like any more information on buying and selling. And then I also offered a free home buying guide and seller's guide, which that was able for me to get a lot of people's also contact information, which then I added to my CRM. And then also I added to my email mailouts and all my information so I can send them offline as well, because people are talking about it, that TikTok might be going banned, or I mean, it's the world that Instagram and TikTok and all this stuff could go away one day and then we don't have those followers. So you also have to think about getting those followers off of the social media platforms and into like your CRM, your email mailouts, your newsletters, your website. So attracting those clients off social media is also very important. So that also, you can do that with your stories as well, where you can post, there's a link thing on Instagram where you can post saying, check out my website with a link. Or what I like to do is every time I send out my email newsletter, which I do monthly, and then for all the stats, I have a little link there where people can sign up for it every month. And then also you can attract people to also, if you have a landing page for a free home evaluation, that is also a good thing to add that in there. Usually every like 2 weeks, it's always good to do that as well. So yeah, and then also with sticking to building your brand. I know you see it kind of with celebrities. They usually pick like a color. So like Kim Kardashian, her color's nude. Like Olivia Rodrigo, her color's purple. McDonald's, you think of like red and yellow. So when it comes to you as a real estate agent, you want people to see the color like orange and think of like, oh, I know someone who like has like builds their brand around that color, sticking with the same colors when you go to your marketing, sticking with the same fonts, the same style of content, kind of posting the same style of content, but not posting it all align with each other, mixing it up. So don't have two sold posts right next to each other, making a different post in between that. And so kind of just building your brand and finding out who you are and sticking with that. And if it doesn't work, then move on to the next thing. I mean, real estate and the world, we're all evolving. Like it seems like every week there's something new. And so you always have to be on top of what's new, what's happening. And so also, I believe with building a brand, it could be more than just real estate. I mean, I love fashion, so I decided when I came out as a real estate agent, I was going to come out with merch as well. So I'm wearing my merch right now, and I have a couple other pieces. And then I also have like some Yetis, and they're all my stuff is a cohesive color, which helps me build my brand, which I also give these out to my clients as well. And then it's nice enough that they've also posted it on their story of them wearing it, and they've tagged me, which has also been a great way for me to gain some audience interactions through that as well. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, so far so great, I would say, for sure. Definitely you went in detail with a lot of stuff that you have going on, and I could see that you put a lot of attention into your social media. Mind if I pull up your page real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So with us, this is your page over here. If you don't mind breaking down like what is the reasoning for you doing certain things in here? You know, if you want to break it down, direct me where you want me to go and explain if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I definitely think that kind of just posting relevance to what's happening in the real estate market. So I just posted that first post today about how the new minimum down payments from home prices from $1 million to just under $1.5 million has changed. So it used to be that anything above $1 million, you had to have a minimum 20% down payment, but they've increased the margins for a 10% minimum down payment. So now anything from a $500,000 to just under $1.5 million, you only have to have a 10% minimum down payment. And this post, it didn't do that. I mean, I posted it 1 hour ago, but I did have someone messaging me, not even looking to really buy in that margin, just talking about like, what do you think this is going to happen to the real estate market in that age or that price point there. So it's kind of just not even really trying to like, yes, the goal is to get clients, but this also is a business revolved around relationships. So you also have to think about just building relationships with as most amount of people as possible, which that also could mean interacting with other people's social medias as well. You have to think about just trying to build relationships. So if you see someone that you followed just had a baby, or maybe they just got engaged, reaching out to them, just saying congratulations, not even making it about real estate. A lot of people, real estate will just naturally come up. Real estate's a topic that a lot of people just genuinely love talking about. So it will naturally come up as you go on. But yeah, and so Also, a lot of things that I post of is just like behind the scenes. Those stuff do really well. People genuinely just like to see what you're doing. They don't really care what it's really about. They're just curious in your lives. I mean, they're following you for a reason because they're wondering like what you're doing. Like so our brokerage, we're very social media based. We have like a whole marketing room and content room, and it's great. So I tend to plan my social media out. I try and plan it out over like a 2 week basis. And so one day I'll batch make a whole bunch of content, and then I'll make like 10 reels and TikToks that I can post throughout the week. So you don't have to be posting or making content daily because that can get really overwhelming and exhausting. I find it's better to do it all on kind of 1 day or 2 days of the week, and then you can just batch it out. And so you have content just ready, and you can schedule it so it can go live at certain times throughout the day, which is also very important, I think, because you have to think of who your audience is. And especially on like TikTok per se, and the first 10 minutes that your video is live for is the most crucial. So you want to think of who your audience is. I mean, if your audience is people from the age of like 25 to like 35, let's say that's like your main focus and audience, those people are probably at work from 9 to 5. I mean, most people are in that age range. So maybe you want to think about posting outside of those hours so that the first 10 minutes of your post can have more engagement, because then TikTok tends to push the video out to more of a wide range of people so that your video will do better.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's amazing. So I see you have certain features here, like for example, even this one right here. You're here in the front. Like, is that like a green screen? What kind of apps are you using to do these kind of posts over here?
Yeah. So I do use CapCut to edit some of my videos. This one I actually did all through TikTok. I love TikTok. I think they have great editing features. I do a lot of vlogs as well, like vlog style content. Like those tend to do really well for me. So I do like day in the life as a real estate agent, or I do like my morning routine as a real estate agent, or get ready with me for my open house, some stuff like that. And so I edit them all through TikTok. And so all these texts that you're seeing through TikTok, the green screen element is through TikTok. And then in a couple of my other videos with the vlogs, all the text and editing is done through TikTok, the transitions, and just coming up with new ideas. I mean, if you go up, sorry, a little bit, the one of me wearing the down one from
Yes.
that. Yeah, that one there. So just coming up with new ideas and seeing what's like current in the world. So right now Christmas is coming up. So I did this video where I said, forget all the Christmas gifts you want. This home should be at the top of your list. So it's kind of just seeing also what's happening in the world. I mean, is it the interest rates coming down? I mean, just getting people's attention, kind of trying to grab them in those first seconds. Because yeah, people's interaction and their attention spans are so little now. It's coming out with TikTok. And so you have to figure out a way to be able to grab those people in those first like 10 seconds of your video, just so they continue to watch your content.
Mm-hmm. All right, I like that. I like that. Yeah. So whatever the season is, you tie it into your content. You add in whatever it is that you're doing for your business or real estate to kind of make the two intertwine, make people engaged and tuning into it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even have to be, I mean, if like, it's kind of diving into like a realtors per se. But if the house has a pool element, I mean, jump in the pool, like make it fun. People like, I feel like every realtor just does the boring stock photos, like just list it and then you just swipe through it. I mean, it's not really going to do as well as like you're hanging out by the pool with a drink, or maybe there's a pool table, you're hitting pool, there's a dartboard downstairs, maybe you're cooking in the kitchen. Just make it fun and interesting and try and just do something so people can just grab their attention and try and stay there for just a bit longer in the video.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm feeling what you're saying because on those platforms, people are scrolling, they're scrolling. So it's kind of like you have to have that hook. You have to have that thing that's gonna make them stop and watch, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Does anyone have any questions, for Sarah, before she signs off? These are tips, guys. It doesn't even matter what industry you're in. social media and how I see is like it's something that's free, and they should be charging, but they're not. They're giving it to us for free. So if we're on this platform and you're posting every day, okay, that's cool. Some people say, oh, I don't want to post every day, but if you're posting, and right now this is the social world that we're in, that's why even this webinar series is something that we're doing every month, because I see where the transition is. I definitely love in person for sure, but we're in this digital space. AI is going to take it over, and then in social media, the social presence. Like honestly, all of you here, I feel like I know you personally. I met Isack in person. I met Nick in person. But Sarah, when me and you connect, I'm gonna feel like I know you already, and I'm just seeing you through a screen. Same thing with John Reid. So this is the era that we're in. So on social media, make your presence. Make your presence. Put yourself out there, show them what you do. Sarah, amazing. Thank you so much for just opening up. I see you gave all your tips and tricks and stuff. So, if anyone wants to get at Sarah, then Sarah, just let us know how to reach out to you. And my make sure you post that in there so people can make sure to connect with Sarah.
Yeah, so my Instagram handle is just Sarah, SARA_Lunn, LUNN, and my TikTok handle is Sarah Lunn, and then the number 6.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and
Thank
that's
you.
where you guys can find me. Thank
you. Perfect. Yeah, so guys, this is the Invest for Cashflow session. We're talking about how's the real estate market. I don't know if there is any other realtors here as well. How's the market for you? How is it looking for you just generally? What are you seeing? Right? Because all this news and all this stuff has been going on. Make sure that you post that in the side so we can discuss it in the session. We're going on to our next speaker. This speaker over here is doing a lot of great work around the city. And he just finished a campaign, to help autism, and a big goal, big lofty goal. $100,000 was raised at this campaign, and the campaign was only for 30 days. 30 days, and you see him on the TV, you see him in the radio and the news, and so just seeing how he was running on that campaign, I can only imagine how he runs in his business and how he goes off and growing his business. He has a goal for evaluation for his business to be over $1 billion company, right? And these are the kind of goals and stuff that I want everyone on this session to have. Just like connecting with people with this kind of mindset to raise your vibration level, to make you thinking on the same kind of level. So I want to introduce him right now, Nick Regina. Thank you, brother. Thanks for being on here.
Oh, thank you for having me. Feeling very grateful for the opportunity, and what an intro, man. I feel like running through a wall after that.
For real, no, man. You do it, man. You live it for real, bro. So if you don't mind, just introduce yourself to everyone on this platform, and then let's get into more and more discussion.
Yeah, just want to compliment to all the prior speakers with John, Sarah, Isack, and even yourself, Rich, as the host, right? This has been a very cool session, and I've learned a little bit of everything. I've learned a little something from everyone that's spoken. So I tip my hat to all you guys. It's awesome, and I'm feeling very grateful to be on here. Yeah, just before we get started, it's become tradition, whether it's a webinar or it's in person. I do say a little bit of a prayer for everyone that's on this call, right? So
love that.
And my wife preps it for me. So tonight, what she did, a nice little simple one. Our Heavenly Father, as we step into new opportunities, we ask that you bless us with good luck. Let doors of our favor open for us, and may our efforts to be met with success. We trust in your goodness to lead us towards positive outcomes only. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. A little bit about myself. I'm going to try to put up this presentation. I'm not the best with the tech side of things, so
share screen, and then it should let you pop up on the screen there.
Yeah, my assistant usually sets us all up, so she bounced. But I have
so in the middle there, you'll see share, and after it'll say screen, and then your screen should show your screen. So you see it there? In the middle,
and then it comes up documents.
Yeah. You go to share screen and then click it.
Screens. I guess it would be the Safari. I got this presentation on
So, just while Nick's doing that, he talked about that earlier, and, this is a way to scale because he's talking about having good people in good positions, smart people in smart positions. So you can see he knows about delegation, if you guys, you guys consistent to upload the screen. And that's what it's about, man. We got, these are key things in how you scale your business, actually reduce your time and effort in the business by having the experts go out. You were talking about that earlier too, So,
you know what, Richie, if you could do another dancing for a couple minutes, I'm just gonna get on a call right now to try to hook this.
Yeah, man, of course. So right now, like I with Nick, I know he's gonna come with some gems, and we were talking earlier, and we're talking about this contribution, right? And when we talk about invest for cash flow, of course, people right away they're thinking about money. Even John Reid initially is like, oh, he was wondering, does this fit in within this segment? And yes, it does, right? Because invest it can be investing your time, right? And invest your money. So I want to definitely give it up for everyone that invested their time for being on this session, right? Yeah, it's a 3-hour session, but you're over here tuning in and taking information that you could actually go and take with you in your business. John Reid talked about the story and building a story. Isack talked about having a foundation, right, that you build on. And as you're earning income, you have that safety, that foundation that's under you. And then Sarah was going over social media. Right now, everything's shifting to social media. Everything's shifted to AI, and a lot of people are just letting the time pass by without learning these things. And if you're not learning these things, then you're going to go so behind, right? Like all this new technology is coming out, and we have to be aware of it. At least be dipping and dabbling in it, so that at least we're ahead of the curve. And so I really want to shout out to everyone that's on the session. Hopefully these are takeaways that you can take away, from this session, right? So that, you could go and improve your business. We still don't have questions, but we do want this to be interactive. And so far we have our speakers that are here, for the stuff that's been said today. Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone did everyone get John Reid's, the download to get the free chapters of the book? I took the picture down. I'm going to go get that. Right, the resources that are being sent out over here, make sure you go and get these resources. They're free, right? Like this is something that everyone should be just taking advantage, and that's what we want this to be a platform. It's a free platform. When you're on going to events, the person speaking on stage, not everyone gets to speak to them. Not everyone gets to ask direct questions, right? And over here, that's what we're allowing you to do. We're allowing you to ask questions to our speakers. Get these little things that could take you and skill what you're doing to the next level, and always be a learner. Always be learning, because if you always have an open mind to learn, which you all are since you're all on the session, right? But just having that open mindedness to learn, then you're gonna all these pieces you're gonna keep coming on sessions like this in person or on the webinar and building from there. I believe Nick's back with us right now. Hopefully, got his assistant to help him out with this, with sharing the screen. But guys, like even Nick, Regina, and even starting with the prayer, I want to bring attention to that too, right? Because we got to give thanks to the Most High. We got to give thanks to God. So I'm so grateful that he came in here with that kind of presence. But when you go into a session, you'll see how he's really about well-being and growing the well-being, likely to the map book. It's a great synergy that's there in terms of, really focusing on your well-being and on a holistic part of your life. So yeah, Nick, you're here. I see your screen's up. You're with us? Well, we see his screen's up, so I guess they're getting it set up. Maybe his audio still needs to get hooked up, right? But you see already has 2025 in mind right now, and everyone here should have 2025 in mind. 2024 was a year where we've seen what's going on with the government, so we definitely know if you're in Canada, it was a year of a lot of challenges, right? A lot of challenges be going on. So now in this new year, position yourself right now. We have 2 more weeks coming to the new year. How are you setting yourself up for the new year, right? And these are the things that it seems like Nick wants to go in on more. Nick, are you here with us?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. We see your screen too. The floor is yours, brother. You're muted. You're muted.
All right.
Yeah, we got you. You're good to go.
Am I good now?
Yeah, you're good to go. You're good to go.
Okay, cool. So sorry about that. Am I sharing my screen?
Yeah, you see you on your screen, man. We see you there, man. We can hear you. We can see you. You're live in effect, man.
All right, all right, all right. So I'm so sorry about that, and thank you for dancing on your feet for me there, Richie. And yeah, to go to your point, an EA in place, and even a tech team that sets all these presentations up for me and makes sure that I'm set up for success. But little introduction to myself. My name is Nicholas Regina. First and foremost, I'm powered by God. I'm a father of three and a loving husband, an entrepreneur that just loves moving and shaking in the entrepreneurial space. It's something that I've been doing now for over 17 years. I enjoy it, and I want to do it until my last days here, right? And yeah, I'm scaling. When I was asked to present. On this lineup, right? Richard picked the topic, and the topic being balancing personal development, business, entrepreneurship, and family. So there's a little bit of a blend in this slide. I'm going to take you for a bit of a ride. And the presentation, I'm using a lot of real life examples as something that can serve as inspiration, right? But it's not about me today, it's about you guys, right? So I just have this to relate back to when I go on to talk about the subjects. But a little bit about what my goals are on the personal development side of things is I want to stay in tip-top shape, and not only in the physical, right, but in the mind and the soul as well. So I'm on a big personal development journey, and I work with life transformation coaches and the experts that are in the space, trainers, meditation coaches, breathwork facilitators. And I always want to make sure, that I'm taking care of myself. That self-care is massive, right? As humans, naturally, we're selfless, but if we don't fill our cup first, then we can't do our best in filling others. So with that being said, massive on the personal development side of things. Also sober now for over 4.5 years, and feeling really, really good, and like I'm getting the most out of life. And what's important to me there is ties into the next point, but it's leading by example for my kids, right? So I'm a big family man, and as much time as I could spend with my family, I try to. A big reason why I'm in the financial sector and the mortgage and insurance industry right now is because I used to be in hospitality and nightlife, and I used to own and operate nightclubs, put on large scale events. We've done shows with anyone from a local DJ all the way up into Drake and everyone in between. Owned nightclubs in Toronto and Miami. But I was in the fast lane. I was in the fast lane for many years, and it's something that I enjoyed. I learned a lot, met a lot of great people, built a solid network, made a lot of money, but it wasn't going to be good for the family life, right? Simply just because all your weekends, your holidays, your after hours, the time you do get to spend with your family would have been spent at work, right? So when looking onto a new industry, what better than real estate? I'm a big believer in it. It's a solid, tangible asset. Nothing like the good old school brick and mortar. I'd already been doing a little bit of investing into this space as well, because it's just something I believe in. So some of the profits I was making from that industry, I would invest in real estate, and the hours, the flexibility, the financing side of it. A lot of the institutions, they shut off on weekends and evenings, and that was the time I wanted to allocate to my family if possible. And then the business and entrepreneurship part, right? I love scaling businesses. I love building company culture. I love making it so that I build companies that can sell. I build companies that are well-oiled machines, and whether I decide to sell them or not, I could work within them and them not having to be reliant on me, right? To the extent that they would if you didn't build them out that way. I remember one of my mentors a few years back told me something that really stuck with me. He said, Nick, if you're ever building a company not to sell, if you're building a company, why not build it to sell? even if you don't end up selling it. He goes, because why would you ever want it to be that, that company needs you to be in it forever, right? So whether you're going to sell a company or not, build it to sell, right? And then he goes, when you're really good, when you know how to do that. And then he goes, when you're amazing, when you build it where it can operate without you in it. And then one up on that, you build it where it can operate without you in it, and it could grow without you in it too. So when he said that blew my mind, and I thought that was quite brilliant. So I'm forever trying to work on that and achieve that, right? So yeah, I'll bring you into the presentation here. So again, on the personal development side of things, why I think it's so important to practice, these ongoing modalities like breath work, 5-minute journals, cold plunges, pump and steel, doing a lot of cardio on Peloton, working with coaches, is because, to achieve anything, great, right? You have to make sure that, mind, body, soul is working together in unison, and you're putting a lot of time into that on an ongoing basis. And it's not only for the longevity and beating out the average life expectancy, which is, 81 years old now for Canadians and males at least. But it's the quality of life that you're living too, right? It's how you're showing up. It's how to maintain a high vibration frequency, right? It's how to care for yourself. And, you want to just continue to stack the wins. So right when I get up, I'm making sure that, I'm saying my prayers, I'm doing my 5-minute journals. And the 5-minute journals it's a practice of gratitude. So it's just, stating what you're grateful for and setting some intentions for the day and already getting into a little bit of a mini manifestation mode. And then, yeah, like when I hop in the plunge, pretty much 5 days a week. And whenever you're hopping in, 1-2 degree cold water in the morning, not only does it fire up your organs and the blood flow and get you going, but if you're able to get past that every morning, then everything else just seems like crumb cake. Bit of breath work. I mean, I can go really deep with you on the science as to why, but it's just really good for you on an overall and for your nervous system. And, just to, again, add in another layer there. And then working out, right? I'm making sure that I'm lifting weights 3-4 days a week, that I'm doing my cardio, and that I'm keeping that heart rate up, right? Really, really important. I do see as well, like healthcare, and the healthcare side of things, like I'm making sure that I'm always doing my blood work. I do have a private healthcare. I work with a doctor. His name's Sanjeev Goel. And, even though it's a little pricier, what I weigh it up against is, well, I'd rather, pay for my healthcare than a lot of other things. And I'd rather put that a little higher on the list, right? To make sure that, I'm staying in optimal shape, right? And if you go down the list of what your credit card bill looks like or what your debit card looks like on an ongoing basis, I bet you can shave lots of costs off that aren't a necessity or that aren't something that, you would label as a priority. And you could make a budget for working with some awesome professionals too that can help monitor your health and make sure you're showing up in tip-top shape all the time. 2025, the future of entrepreneurs, innovation equals success. So I'm a big believer in, setting the bar and making sure that not only are you keeping up with the trends, but sometimes even setting them. Sarah touched up on it in regards to the social media aspect side of things, where if it's not even a topic these days, if you're not posting up, like it's not even a discussion, I should say, where is it good to be on social media or is it not good to be on social media? Like if you're having that conversation, you already, lost, and you got lots of catching up to do, right? It is the way of the future. And in my opinion, influence is currency, right? We're seeing celebrities that, and even micro influencers and everyone in between making a lot of money for posting on their stories and on their reels. And you want to talk about a cash flowing asset, I'll bring this up, and I won't go too deep on it, but these celebrities are getting $3-4 million a post, depending on their following and the engagement, of course. I'm talking about the top ones in the world, like the Kardashians, the Ronaldos of the world, and whatnot. And they're actually charging now to keep the post up on their feed. So if you want it to stay up on their feed for a week, it's X amount of dollars. If you want it to stay up for a month, so they're charging you rent to stay on their feed on social media. I know when I booked Drake to do a show here in Toronto, his booking fee was $1 million to perform, and then it was $250,000 just to post up the flyer of him performing here. and one tag, which goes to the website where the tickets were sold. So it was 25% of his cost was to post that up in his story, not on his feed. So he charged $250,000, and this was back in 17. So, and Drake doesn't have over or even half of what Kim Kardashian or Cristiano Ronaldo does. So, go figure, you fast forward 5-6 years when a lot more people are on the social media trend and what that looks like. I have micro influencers that are being followed that have 40, 50,000 followers that, big corporates paying them $8,000 for a reel, right? So it's real. It's out there. A lot of people are making money. So it's a great time. This is a nice segue into the next topic. It's a great time to build a personal brand. Why is it very powerful to build a personal brand? And in a lot of cases these days, even more powerful than building a brand for your business, is because a personal brand is a lot more relatable, right? They relate with you as a person. They build trust with you as a person. And then they look onto your portfolios of companies or your business and whatever product or service it is you're selling, and they're gonna trust to do business with you because you're very much so more relatable than your company is. Now, a prime example I'll use until I get on to the next point is, why does everyone love Tesla so much? And then the same people that love Tesla, all of a sudden, they're big fanatics on going to space. And then they favor the platform Twitter, which kind of came out of nowhere and didn't really change its motto in a big way. Well, because you're in love with the brainchild, Elon Musk. So whatever Elon Musk is doing, you're going to eat out of the palm of his hand. And that's the power of influence. And that's, Elon Musk is much more relatable than an auto manufacturing company like Tesla, whether they have a good product or not, right? So it's very important to build a personal brand. And I would tilt more budget and effort and time and love into a personal brand than your business brand these days, right? Go hard with social media marketing strategies and leverage AI. I'm a big fan in saying it's better to get on the right side of what's happening as opposed to being fearful of it, scared of it, and not embracing the new technology that could leave you in the dust. So AI is taking over, and it's going to continue to. So if you don't learn how to build strategy in and around it and leverage it, you're going to be left behind. And it's the same conversation we had about social media. The people that were ranting and raving about it 10 years back and got on the bandwagon and built their brands and have a sick following, they're making money and big money. And now they're in rooms telling everyone else how they should be doing it too, even though they're way further behind in the race and they're being paid big money to do so. So I think the same thing's happening with AI right now. It's our job to get on the right side of it. And even if it's not you personally, right? Like you're scaling your business, make sure you have an expert, that's on the payroll, whether it's part-time, full-time, depending on how big your company are, what your revenues are and what you can afford. Make sure you're paying someone that's an expert in AI, and make sure they're overlooking, what's happening in your whole portfolio in your company and saying, how can we leverage the technology here? How can we leverage it there? What can we do in this situation? You want to talk about events, you want to talk about underwriting, you want to talk about CRM systems, you want to talk about organization, presentations on an overall, pitch decks. It's crazy. It's crazy in regards to how efficient you can become compared to what it is you're doing now if you learn how to leverage it. Technology and customer service. We just went through a horrible year in the real estate market on an overall. If you look at stats and data, no matter which way you twist it or turn it, if you were small enough or nimble enough to mobilize and to continue to keep up your revenues or even, surpass what you did last year, it was still a challenge. And we went through a bad year in real estate. What was going to make you stand apart from the rest? Service. The level of service that you show, that white glove service, that communication as a top core value, making sure that you simply just give a shit, and that you show them that you care and that you show them you're going to bend over backwards and do whatever it takes to get their business, to keep their business. And there's so many different ways that we could do that. But I tied this together with the technology side of things. And I'll use what we do on our CRM system as an example. There's not 3 days that go by where we don't have touch points with all of our clients. And we have a pretty big pipeline. And sometimes people are in the underwriting stage, sometimes people are in the discovery stage, sometimes people are in the submission stage, sometimes people are in the approval stage. We're very organized with our processes. No matter what stage they're at, they're hearing from one of our staff every 3 days. Our staff gets a reminder in the CRM system, and we simply pick up the phone and we have a conversation with them. And if they don't answer, we leave them a nice message. And we just let them know they're in good hands, they're being treated properly, and everything's okay, right? And further to that, when their birthdays come up, not only do we send something to them, right, via email, but we pick up the phone and we call them and we just say, happy birthday. Hopefully you're going to have an awesome day today. We're just wishing you all the luck in the world. And we send them out a little gift basket right to their address on their birthdays. What helps us and allows us to do that? Technology. The list goes on in regards to how you could leverage tech and offer up an extreme white glove service. And it's simply just done through reminders and time blocking, right? Flexibility in a fast-paced environment. So I kind of touched up on it a little up top, but we got to understand that, small businesses, right? Even if you're going through a downturn, an economic downturn in a really challenging time, small businesses are considered up to 99 employees. Medium businesses are 499 employees. So until you're a big business, you got to be at 500 employees. So if you're a solopreneur, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an employer that has 20, 25 employees, you're still tiny. And you don't have to go to the beat of the drum of the current market. You can adapt, mobilize, and you're nimble enough to be able to move into an area where you're answering people's pain points. So for instance, this year was horrible for Schedule A and B mortgages. Nobody had any equity left in their homes. The bigger institutions choked up on the capital outlay. They weren't a big fan of continuing to put money out. Simple. And they just made everyone's life a living hell and able to get approved. So you could sit down, you could bitch, complain, you could cry to whoever you want to cry to, or you could, figure something out that's going to work for everyone. So if everyone's tapped out on their equity and, their revenues for their themselves personally aren't where they were in years prior, what can you give them? What product can you give them that they'll take and they need and they want, right? This year we mobilized and we built out in and around business lines of credit. And the way that we positioned it was, leverage the equity in your business now that, the equity in your homes and your properties are tapped out for the most part. And it was really, really tough, even if they weren't fully tapped out last year because the values had come down. So people were all over that. There was a lineup. We couldn't keep up with the pipeline. And the commissions were even more handsome than the mortgage space in itself. And it's actually, a product now that we're going to keep on the shelf forever. And that's done a lot of our clients right. And that's actually made us go out there and look for other products outside of the business line of credits and the mortgages to put on our shelf, because now we have, a wider variety of products that we could offer up to a big network clientele that we built. And, we were able to add to our revenues through the economic downturn, and not because we went against the grain or we fought the tape, but just simply because we found the solution that worked for everyone in the tough time. Right. So when there's a bit of a tough market, figure it out as you can. There's always a solution. Leadership and team building. So I got a couple of stats here. Leadership directly impacts company performance. 13% the likelihood of job turnover at organization with high company culture. 50% the probability of job turnover in companies with little to no company culture. So what are some of the things that we do for company culture? And I put some pictures up of my staff right up on this presentation, and we're doing things ongoing, right? And what I'm doing with my life transformation coach is so awesome, and there's no correlation, or one would think, to business. But I have my life transformation coach all my staff, and that's part of their salary and their overall contract with us. Right. So what's good for me is good for them. And why wouldn't I want them to have that? Right. So, they're working with a life coach on an ongoing basis. And that's to figure out, just how to live life to the fullest. Right. When you want to talk about time management, how to manage conscious communication, how to balance, the wheel of life I did an activity at the event that you were out there, Rich. The list goes on. Right. Health and what we're putting in our systems and eating, and just good stuff on an overall, right? Because our staff, they're going through what we're going through, right? And if we can find a solution, or we found help with something that benefits us on the personal level, why wouldn't I want to share that with my staff, right? So just give a shit about them the way you do yourself, and they'll see that. They'll see that authenticity was talked about too on this presentation, and that'll just really exude through you, like Sarah says, right? People will relate to that in a big way. The next is that's Michelle or Angelo taping up his stick. We have show and tell. So once a month, get on the podium, no talk about business. That's right in our headquarters. Show us something that you're awesome at that we didn't know, and surprise us. And Angelo was the fastest stick taper in all. I don't know. There's some stick taping competition, and he was the fastest stick taper in all of Ontario one year, and he literally taped that stick in 7 seconds. It was the weirdest thing to watch, and it was a good tape job. I played puck too, and I was like, yeah, I'd rate this for sure. And no one had any idea about it, so there was this little 20-minute intermission in the middle of the day, and everyone's laughing or buzzing out about it, or learned a little 1-2 about stick taping, and then it creates great conversation. It's just a little layer. It's a little layer once a month. The middle picture there is Michelle, one of our underwriters. She's that was a team retreat. So after we coach with after they coach with my life coach for the full year, we ended off on a retreat where we'll go away for a weekend together, and that was in Muskoka. There, we were going for a hike in the woods, it was just awesome. The amount of deeper connections that we built and what we learned about one another was extremely powerful, and just makes it so that everyone gets a lot closer. And on that retreat too, it's not like a big party, right? We're putting in work, right? We're doing breath work, we're doing meditation, we're doing cold tubs, we're working on a lot of trauma that we've had. We're having conscious communication with each other in regards to what had happened in the office throughout the year that we think that we could be better with, or we think that we wanted to confront someone with and take accountability for, or whatnot, right? And then the third piece there, that's Pino, our event planner. We're always doing work with meditation coaches and breathwork coaches. So we have the breathwork coaches come right to our headquarters, and literally bring their speakers and just pump it up. And there's 20 of us just doing breath work right on the floor midday for half an hour. We'll shut the office down. And then that's, we do a little bit of journaling after to take some notes on some of the breakthroughs that we had with the breath work, right? But yeah, just there's always things that we're doing ongoing. It's one thing to say company culture is one of your core values when building out your business. It's easy in your business plan to be core values, communication, company culture, love, integrity. But then it's another thing to actually implement these values and inject them into your schedule throughout the year and practice them. So I do encourage that, right? When you do have your core values for your company, and that'll come in your business plan and your brand build out, make sure you stay true to them, and make sure you inject that into your schedule, and you lead your team just to be awesome all across the board. And all these activities, if you haven't noticed, they have nothing to do with finance. They have nothing to do with mortgages. They have nothing to do with insurance. They have nothing to do with investing. They have everything to do with helping these people beef up their personal development, right? And I've seen them grow, and we continue to watch them grow. And it's awesome. Event series. Why is it important to build out events for your business? For me, I have to. It's what I did in the past with hospitality and entertainment. If I wasn't pumping out events, I just wouldn't feel normal anymore. I did it for many, many years. And I think that whenever you're injecting an event into whatever it is you're doing, it just adds so much life to it. And in this case, the company. So we're known for our events here at Spark Invitational, or at Spark Financial Group. That's our Spark Invitational there on the left. We have an annual golf tournament, and it's just awesome. We bring out our whole ecosystem. It's not only the industry, it's family, it's friends, it's clients, it's lenders, it's everyone. It's become now people that just like golf because they heard we have a really awesome tournament. There's celebrities that come out and golf with us. There's celebrities that come out afterwards to the dinner. Wendell Clark was there last year signing autographs and did a little speech. It's awesome. We always tie it to a charity, and we do a lot of philanthropy work. But yeah, it's just a fun day out on the course, right? And everyone gets involved, and it's good times. That's our on the far right there. That's the breath work that Vince was doing right in the office. So not only do we do it for our staff, but we have an event called Spark Connect. And every third Thursday of the month, we have an event here at Spark headquarters, and we bring on different speakers. And a lot of them, again, don't have anything to do with business. They're just people in our ecosystem that are awesome. And Vince is a master breathwork facilitator. So we have him literally doing breathwork with realtors, appraisers, lenders. And it's like the coolest thing because we're introducing them to like, what we like and what we think will really help them step up their game too, again, outside of business, right? And then in the middle there, we do have, given our $1 billion valuation being the goal, we have to spread out into as many marketplaces as possible that are dense and that have kick-ass economies. So we do have a brokerage out in Florida that's in Fort Lauderdale, and we threw a real badass event at that mansion there for the launch of that brokerage. And it was like a poolside party that backed up onto the ocean. And yeah, we just added layers of entertainment into it. And there's annual events that we're going to continue to create this year. We just did our gala. As Rich was saying, I wore a blazer for 30 days straight. I couldn't take it off. It was Don Cherry's All for Children with Autism under the age of 13. And we ended it off at the holiday gala. And it was like Great Gatsby themed and, real formal. And it was cool. It had that holiday cheer. It had that holiday love in there. And again, right, the friends, family, ecosystem, lenders, right? Let's get together. Let's have a good time. It's tough out there. The average household income now in the GTA, you got to pull in $250,000 if you're raising a family, and a lot of people are in a scarcity mindset. They're not in an abundance mindset right now, and they're stressed out, so to be able to create a little bit of a relief and provide some entertainment, and have people just let loose and have a good time and have some good conversation, I think is very important all the time, but especially in 2024, our events did right by us. Balancing family and business for long-term success, support systems are key to staying grounded and focused. So yeah, big on support systems. I'm a part of many different communities. And my vibe attracts my tribe and vice versa. And like I said, I like to keep my high vibrational frequencies going, and I blame in a good way a lot of the people I surround myself with. There's that famous saying, it might sound cliche, show me who your best, the 5 people you hang out most with, and without even meeting you, I'll have a pretty good idea as to who it is you are. And there's so much truth to that. There's so much truth to that. We're a product of our environment. So I'm so fortunate and grateful to have been, continuing to progress on this personal development journey. And I surround myself with amazing people that rub off on me on an ongoing basis. And yeah, it's what allows me to be a family man. It's what allows me to keep integral to my core values. On the left there, that's my wife. I've been with her now for 17 years, fresh out of high school, and married for eight or nine, one of the two, right? Then I have my family there. I got 3 little ones. There's my daughter Harlow, 7, my middle daughter Mila, 5, and my little son Nico, who's 3 now. And then yeah, I get to buzz out with them, man. Like they're my everything, Like I said, my biggest why is leading by example for them, right? And making sure that we leave this world a better place than we found it. And I'm going to lead by example and show them how to do that, do my best. But yeah, I always have this little analogy saying, I always think of all 3 of them being on my shoulder whenever I'm making, decisions throughout the day. So to be making, to just, make sure to be making the right ones, and not ones that they would be disappointed with and their dad for, right? So they're my why, and they're awesome. And they're probably going to be mad at me that I'm not home tonight, but it's all good because I'm doing this for them when it's all said and done, right? And loving this time spent with you guys. Big on philanthropy and giving back. Part of my personal development journey. Like I said, I'm on a sober journey now. It's been 4.5 years, and some of the people that helped me out at the very beginning stage, one person in particular, I didn't know him from the hole in the wall, and he helped save my life. And I asked him, why? And he said, because it's my job, contribution and purpose and giving back and pulling in more people into this space. It's my job. And all I ask from you is that you do the same when you're back to good health and when you're able to do that. And I made him a promise and I said that I would. So ever since that day, I'm just all about when can I give back? How can I give back? Everything that I have in me, I want to give back. And that $1 billion valuation too, even if we do exit the company, is people say, well, what are you going to do with the money? I say, I want to give it all back. Right. And why wouldn't I? Right. It's like no one takes a fucking U-Haul to their grave with them. We're leaving it all behind anyway. And in my opinion, our mission is to leave this place, leave this world a better place than we found it. And people don't have the opportunity that we have. Just to simply wake up and open our eyes and have our heartbeat and be able to land 2 feet on the floor and get up in a first world country. Like we're already like with the 1%, right? And realizing that and knowing that I have the ability to change the trajectory of other people's lives, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. And I feel so good. I feel so good doing it, right? So I'll be doing that for the rest of my life. And yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. A lot of people ask me like, Nick, how do you have four operating businesses, over 30 employees, 3 kids, you're pretty active with your health and fitness. The list kind of goes on. It's being strategic about, being militant with my time, and I'm big on time blocking, and I just wake up in the morning and I look at my schedule, and me and my assistant work on it on an ongoing basis. It's a forever evolving task that you got to get dialed in with. But I have an activity called the Wheel of Life. And the Wheel of Life has all different spokes on it. And each spoke has a different color. And that's why my calendar is color coded. And it's color coded towards, and each color has a different spoke. So I know that if I look at my calendar, I'll know what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, how much of it I'm doing. And, first it starts with the bigger blocks, and then there's another layered calendar that it gets really intricate with. But this is just like a prime example of what 5 of those spokes look like, but there's 12 in total. So time blocking's really helped me, because it's easy to get like overwhelmed and be like, oh man, am I supposed to be here? Am I supposed to be doing what I'm doing right now? Like, am I supposed to? And it's just like, yep, I'm supposed to be here right now. And you just feel like, okay, let me be present, and that all has to do with scheduling, and making sure your calendar's dialed in prior to your week starting, at least at a minimum on Sundays. And then throughout those days, you just show up and kill it. You're present. You don't have to be like trying to figure out where you got to go next. And then that was the activity, the Wheel of Life. What I'll do, Richie, is I'll email it to you, and I'll let you.
Send it off in the email. So you just email to me, and I will send it off with replay. We'll send it off.
Yeah, and the Wheel of Life is the foundation of the basics of what I learned with my life coach, and it's where everything starts from, right? So, for instance, there's health and fitness, there's contribution and purpose, there's spirituality, there's family and friends, there's work. And, if you're able to balance this wheel, then you're kicking butt, right? So there's just a wheel, and you just got to fill out where you're at in the spoke of 0 to 10, be true, right? The only person that you'd be lying to is yourself. And you'll see how unbalanced your wheel is. And, it's the goal is to achieve a 10 all across the board. So the wheel is nice and round, and that vehicle can be rolling. You can be rolling and kicking butt moving forward. So yeah, it's a fun activity, but you'll see where it is you're lacking and where you got to pick up some steam. And then you can tie that in and inject a time management tool to make sure that you're allocating the right time to those things. Because really, it's not rocket science, guys. If you're behind on your health and wellness, well, then get to the gym, right? Be more mindful of what you're putting in your body. If you're down on your spirituality, well, then figure out a way to connect to the higher power, whoever that might be for you, right? If you're low on family and friends, well, just time block and make sure that you want to hang out with your family more and your friends, right? Like, there's no science to spending time with family, right? So yeah, it's common sense stuff, but it's just more preparation and time management and being able to identify, where you need to improve on. Actionable steps to achieve big wins in the coming year. So yeah, let's get set up for next year and what, without diving too deep on the economy and what a lot of economists are saying or um, any of the stats and data. Let's put ourselves in control. Let's make sure that we're at the wheel, because regardless of what the economy is doing, we covered it a bit earlier, we could kick butt. John was talking about a fantastic way to tell stories. Like imagine you being able to identify your target market and tell a story to them that shows them, how much butt you're going to kick for them and makes them the star, and telling them how you're going to aid it, right? Like how you're going to aid their pain points. The biggest risk is not taking any risk, Mark Zuckerberg, right? And again, right? Let's make sure that we're taking those risks. Manage calculated risks, but we got to take those risks in order to elevate our game. That's something that we got to be doing continuously. Right now, there's a few things in the portfolio. As strong as our revenues are, as much brand equity as we might have built, as much notoriety as we have out there, as many awesome players that there are on the team, I'm still taking risks every day, and they're bigger risks now because the company's bigger. But at the same time, they could, if I make a couple of the wrong decisions, the company can find itself in a really bad position. So no matter how small or no matter how big you are, you got to continue to take those risks, but make sure they're calculated and know that that's how you're going to be able to get to the next level, right? Especially if you're setting trends and being a little bit more cutting edge than the regular. Number one, set big goals. That's why we have $1 billion valuation. When people are like, why $1 billion? I'm like, I don't know. It sounds sexy, and it's going to be a real challenge to get there. So why wouldn't I want a big challenge to face? And why wouldn't I want a sexy number like $1 billion where you say it in a room and everyone's like, whoa, you know what I mean? So what do I got to do to get there? Now I know what I have to produce in regards to annual revenues based on my EBITDA, my multiple, and my space. And that's in and around $600 to $650 million a year. So as well as one may think we're doing, we're still in our infant stages and we have lots more work to do. And that's what makes it fun, right? Two, innovate fearlessly. Right. So again, do your market research, find out what you think is going to work and take a shot at it. And when everyone else is not doing it and you're the one that comes out the gates and introduces it, and continues to set the bar higher and higher, you attract, like very, very ambitious, very cool, very hardworking, very different type of people, that you want to be surrounded by and that are going to help your business elevate, right? People see innovators from a mile away and they want to join on because it's cool. It's fun. It's a territory that no one's kind of ventured off to, right? And stay up to date with the innovative trends, right? We're talking a little bit about AI. We're talking about building your personal brand. It's innovation right there in itself, right? Sometimes you don't got to reinvent the wheel. You just got to take what's happening, implement it, inject it into your business, and put your own little twist on it. Three, invest in your team. I'm a big believer that, I always want to make sure that I'm the dumbest one in the room. And if I'm not, there's a problem, right? So with the CFO that's in place, the COO, CSO, and everyone all across the board, I don't know half of what they forgot about what it is they do for this company. I say it all the time. I might have my licenses, but my underwriters, I've been doing it for 30 years. I've been doing it for 4.5. So at that point, it's just about experience. It's about time. And I'd much rather have my father, my mother, my brother, my sister, my clients deal with my underwriters than me. They do a better job than I would, right? Why would I always want to be the best at everything? You can't scale and grow and hit $1 billion valuation if you want to take that approach. So yeah, invest into your team and don't cheap out on cutting them a good deal and continuing to help grow and build them within the corporation, right? It's our jobs to do that. 4, keep your personal life grounded, so consistency and discipline is the key, right? If you can keep showing up day after day after day after day after day, and you continue to compound that, then it's you're just a savage. You know what I mean? And you're not gonna, like, no one's gonna be able to move you. No one's gonna be able to fuck with you. No one's gonna be able to, take you off of that trajectory. And it's just gonna continue to compound. And you're gonna smash all your goals, all the goals that you set, you're gonna smash, right? It's just consistency and discipline. And for that to be the case, you need to keep your personal life very grounded, do the right thing. You know what the right thing is. I'm gonna tell you. We all do. And yeah, if you want to chat more, I mean, I make myself accessible. It's most of the time it's me and my DMs, maybe half now between me and my assistant. But if anyone ever wants to reach out, you can ask me for some more information. But there's my email, my Instagram. You can DM me, you can email me, and I'm always down to chat. Part of what my job is continuing to build more and more people into my ecosystem, and make sure that my network becomes stronger and stronger as time goes on. I like that. I'm a people's person. And I've actually scaled the company so that I could do that because I align with that, right? I was talking to Rich about this a little bit earlier on, and I'll end it with this: is find who you truly are deep down. Find what your personal core values are. Find what you really align with. And again, it might sound cliche, but find out what it is you love to do, and then do that and never work another day in your life, right? So I love networking. I love selling. I love building on to our ecosystem. I love philanthropy work. So my mission this year is scaling the company so I could just head off my charity foundation and I could sell. I don't want to be the CEO. I don't want to be directing operations. I don't want to be having 6 directs for every division. I don't want that anymore, right? I want to be able to pass that role on to someone else and have them take the company to new heights. And I just want to give back and head off my charity foundation and sell, right? So it's my job. There's a great book. It's called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And he so brilliantly explains it. But yeah, just hire for what you don't want to do and do what you want to do in your company. What do you love to do? Because imagine just getting up every day and being able to do that, right? But yeah, that's it. Just wanted to say thank you for the stage. Thank you for your time, Rich. And yeah, if anyone has any questions or wants to chat, I guess now is the Q&A, Rich.
Yeah. We still have one more speaker. I see you guys are doing big business with each other. And we're gonna get to him just now, but definitely how you're going over everything. I do want you to, like when you're saying find your passion, because earlier today when we're talking and when you're talking about the philanthropy stuff, like you just became like a new person. Like it's like someone just gave you a boost of energy, and I was just involved in that, that autism run. I just seen you on there just going hard with. I'm like, yo, I gotta throw something. I gotta, participate. So I said, and then after I'm like, yo, let me go to the gala and support. And when I was at the gala, that's what everyone was saying about you, they just like, how much of a great person you are. I talked to your dad as well. His dad was performing at the thing and stuff. Like, that's what, like, everything you're saying here, I got to witness it firsthand, so that's amazing. And yeah, like, if you don't mind, just talk about the initiative, because we're talking earlier, so it's put the vision out there, put the vision out there.
Yeah, for sure. So again, right, we talk about setting big goals and then the why. The why is very, very important. That's the driving force, is your why. So you have to have a strong why, no matter what it is in life. So when I stumbled to something in regards to what's called now Support the Blazer, that we just completed year 3. Year 1, where I wear a funky blazer for 30 days straight, right? So year 1, I raised $9,200. I was just doing a few stories throughout the month. Some days I would post, some days I wouldn't post. And it gained traction. I did some cool, funny things with it. I took it on some adventures, and $9,200 for breast cancer. Year 2 was $1 Million Smiles, and we raised $23,322, and that was for children with life-threatening illnesses. And I post a story every day for that, multiple. And I even put out a couple of collaborated reels. And then year 3, and again, I was just getting so much out of it. I just, I was hanging out with these kids. I was hanging out with the people that had cancer. I, did a walk through the hospital in that intensive care unit. And it was like, just more and more and more fell in love with wanting to give back, wanting to make a difference. And it's like, okay, well, how do I now build a business in and around this campaign, the Support the Blazer campaign? How do I amplify it? And how do I make it so that I could raise more money so that I could change more lives, right? And that's when, I started the Spark Charity Foundation that powers up the Support the Blazer. And this year we did over $102,000, right? So but what we did this year is we had a PR agent. We made CTV, City TV, Global, Breakfast Television. We had 5 radio stations that covered it. It kind of went viral within the city. We were on billboards, and But again, I was doing now this year. I did a reel a day, and I did 4 or 5 stories for the most part a day about it. And then all this PR. So you continue to add layers into it, and now build it into something that's massive. But I love it. I love it. I love it, and that's why it's like the creative juices are flowing, right? It's something that I want to do. I'm already thinking of how I'm going to raise, $1 million for next year. And it's like, well, now I gotta multiply that. It's not just me wearing the blazer. I gotta put an army together. I gotta have 300 people wearing a blazer that all have their own pages that feed up to the mother page, right? And it's just like, okay, well, now I'm going to get some more awesome people involved, and they have their sphere of influence. And it's like, whoa, I can scale this globally. I can go into different continents and countries and provinces and cities. And it's just like, whoa. I'm like, we can end world hunger. We could cure diseases. It's power in numbers. A rising tide lifts all ships. So if I attached a powerful enough why, where I said, okay, there's 1 million families that starve in December and that don't eat, right? So we need 1 million meals that'll solve that. So everybody in Ontario eats in December. It's just $10 a meal. So now I got to raise 10 million bucks. But the why is now, hey guys, if we raise 10 million bucks, nobody in our province is going to starve. Everybody eats this Christmas season, right? And it's like, that's the why. That's what makes it so powerful. That's the goal that we're trying to achieve. So what does that look like when you're talking about building schools, when you're talking about aiding cures for whatever it may be, right? Like whatever you put your mind to, like it truly, that's how the revolution is going to be led. Is through love, and it's through good intentions, but is power in numbers. Power in numbers. But before we get into our next speaker, I said to Shawn, we're partnering up right now, and Spark's moving to Calgary, and Shawn is someone that I look up to. Shawn is someone that is a badass leader, and is someone that I learn from on an ongoing basis, and I'm in awe every time I see him doing what he does. And it's like, Shawn, I'm gonna be in Calgary for 15 days with this blazer, and then I'm gonna be in Toronto for 15 days in this blazer. And it's like, well, some of the Calgary people are gonna wear that blazer, and some of the right. So it's just the more good people rally up, more good people get involved, more good people get behind it, and it's just like now you're unstoppable. At some points in time, it felt like the whole city was powering us up. But imagine now, if we were to add on to that and continue to layer it, how many lives we could change for the better, how many people that we could provide with just simple things that they can't provide for themselves, right? So I just
man, God bless you, brother, man. We appreciate that, man. And what you're exemplifying is having a handout and pulling people up. And that's really what we need over here. We need where everyone's reaching and pulling each other up, because like you said, even that one meal, you're feeding that person, but say that meal, that person now powered them up, then they grow, and then what they become can impact millions of people, So it's like, it's something that like, it's definitely selfless, I could see, and then definitely, that's why I could see you're definitely connected with God. And that's pretty much what we're all here to do, man. So thank you for sharing that, and I'm just grateful to be able to have a platform to kind of extend that. I don't know if you've seen on the ads, we had your blazer on there this session. In your pictures, we had your blazer. Whatever we can do to contribute, right? And like I said, I'm on board next year as well, to rock that blazer. And hey, anyone on here, make sure you reach out to Nick as well, to get on that campaign. Nick, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. And we're going on to our final speaker, for the day, Shawn Getty. And Shawn, I appreciate him just like Nick. I reached out to him right away. He's like, yeah, I'm on board. What do I gotta do? I sent him the form, he filled out like right away, right? And it just shows this is how he operates in his business. Like he does stuff right away. Like he's not like, so Shawn, it's your floor, man. You talk to us, man. You went deep on the live and you really touched me. Honestly, after that conversation, I was like, yo, like he's talking about being number one. Yeah, I think this year, I have to have that in my mindset to be number one. Why not? And also you're talking about him. He was in a point where he was at his lowest of lows, where he thought about even ending his life. And now look where he is right now. And him and Nick are building in Calgary the Spark Financial. That's growing, and the causes that they're in, the philanthropy. So we're so grateful that you're here with us live in effect. Shawn Getty, yours, brother.
That's funny, man. Thanks for the intro. I appreciate it. But yeah, you said something there that's 100% true. And success loves speed, like 100% success loves speed. But at the same time, you have to have a plan in place, of course, right? Because you could go 100 miles an hour right into a wall and you blow up pretty hard at the same time. But no, that's awesome, man. No, thank you for having us. And yeah, just the more that we can give back, the better this whole world can be, and the better that we all can be. Like a rising tide raises all ships, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we touched a lot on the MLI. Is there anything like you want me to dig back into that?
Definitely want to get into that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So we'll jump
If
more
you
in
don't
there.
mind, the people on here, I'm sure enough people know you, but if you don't mind, just just introduce yourself, give a little background, and then let's get into it.
Sure. Yeah, Shawn Getty, run a real estate out in Calgary. We're going to be shooting for the number one team in the world next year. There's a pretty good chance that we hit it. Nick knows we talk about it almost all the regular. Yeah, I started this year with 4 agents actually, and we just crossed 60. I think 61 just signed actually about an hour ago, and the biggest team in the country has 63. So we're right on their heels. And yeah, again, you want to go fast and you want to build big, but at the same time, you have to make a plan. It took me a whole year to plan this. So imagine I took 2023 and I didn't attract a single agent. I didn't bring a single person on. We pretty much folded and shut down everything, and all I did was plan and strategize for a year. And then when we pushed go, it just took off like a rocket because we planned it properly, and then all we need to do is execute. And now we've been planning on this next step for about 3 months, and we're about to push go in January again and execute. So it'll be pretty cool. So anyways, we run one of the biggest teams in North America. Yeah, it was 5 years ago. I was literally fighting homelessness. Lost that battle a couple times. 3.5 years ago is when I kind of came out of that. And yeah, like I know what it feels like to be completely out and broken as a person. I tell people all the time, the two things that I owned was debt and depression at the time. And this year alone, I bought just over $4 million worth of investment properties just this year, which is pretty cool. While building like you can't see it, but we're setting up Getty Group / Spark Capital Calgary, and it's 12,000 square feet. So imagine renovating a 12,000 square foot building while buying that much real estate and getting married and everything. So it's your whole life can change if you do things the right way. And we'll jump into the MLI and talk about that. Because the MLI for everybody is by far the best investment tool that you could possibly imagine. And it's all thanks to the government fucking up completely. Did anybody see the announcements today?
Yeah, man.
Anybody fucking cheering and celebrating there?
I know.
Fuck
It's falling
land.
apart, man.
Fuck free land.
I know, right? It's crazy.
Yeah. So anyways, if you're not happy about that, turn the Zoom off because you don't like money. Sorry. Nick is joking. Yeah. So anyways, I'll kind of get the background history of this and how it works, and then I'll explain to you guys how you can get these and get them into your hands, and how you can change your life and your family's life forever based on these projects. Because this is the most powerful investment tool that has come across Canada's history for financing, for investing. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And the people that capitalize on it are going to make themselves and their families very, very wealthy. And the people that miss it are going to be like, man, I wish I would have bought, right? When the house dips, like, man, I wish I bought in 2008, 2009. Man, I wish I bought in 2012, 13 when the market dips. This is not a dip, but this is one of those opportunities that only comes across one time. So, in a sense, what happened is the federal government promised us 4 million houses in the next couple of years. In order to do that, they have to build one house per minute. Some of the initiative that they've done was the MLI to get that done, and the other one was the basement suite. Have you guys seen the basement suite renovations where you could refinance up to 95% and give up 30% of your home's future value for write-offs on it because there's no longer your primary residence as soon as you do that. So 30% of your home basically goes to non-primary resident status when you sell it, and you got to pay capital gains. So thank you, government. But the MLI basically solves the problem where people had barriers into entry into multifamily. So what are like the biggest barriers that you guys think for people buying a multifamily building? So we're talking about 5 units or more. What are the biggest barriers that people have?
Funding.
Yeah, funding would be a huge one. What's some other ones?
Um, I know more times partnerships as well. People are finding good partners, to build as well, or to take over properties like LPs, GP.
Yeah. Oh, am I still there? Froze for a second.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really the biggest problems that people face when they're kind of trying to buy a multifamily, the biggest one is the deposit because you have to put down at least 20%. So 20% would be like the absolute bare minimum that you would put down on these projects, but most times they want 35% on a multifamily building, and that depends on your experience as a rental operator. The other big thing is most people that can afford these buildings are business owners and they don't have the income on paper to support these purchases. So the government basically took all these barriers away. So what happens is the building's cash flow becomes your income. So this is really important to understand. So the building's cash flow replaces your personal income, and your net worth replaces your credit score. So what happens is if you have 25% net worth of the building, which a lot of people have, and the building cash flows, you will qualify. Now, what they did as well is the deposit portion, instead of 20 or 35% down, they kicked it all the way down to 5%. So imagine putting 5% down on a multifamily building, and I'll give you the numbers of one that I just bought. But instead of doing 20, 25, 30% down, you only got to do 5. So the cash flow would be impossible. So instead of keeping it at 25 or 30 years, what they did is they kicked the loan out all the way to 50 years. So now you got a 50-year loan with 5% down, and they're locking in fixed interest rates anywhere from 5 to 10 years. And the interest rate is right around 4% for 10 years right now. So imagine locking in a 4% rate for 10 years. I mean, that's insane, like how good that is for buying money. So, yeah, the government solution to that is really just getting you a super, super low down payment and allowing you to kick it out over a long time so that it cash flows. So imagine instead of buying a townhouse, so like normal people, they're going to buy a townhouse or a duplex or maybe a small single family when they're beginning their investment journey. That's usually the first property, right? Like an up-down rental or a townhouse. Putting on 20%, let's say we're in Calgary, these properties are around $600,000. So you're going to be putting down around 120 grand as an investment property. Well, now instead of putting that 120 grand down, you can buy a building that's $2.5 million with 5% down. And that'll get you literally a whole townhouse complex now instead of just one single townhouse. And because the amortization is kicked out over 50 years, the cash flow is amazing. So like, does anybody own rental properties here? One? Yeah. It's okay to participate, guys. No one's going to hate you for it. All right. So most
Type in
people,
text if you need in the text, guys, if you need to, or put your hand up. Continue, Shawn.
the chat works too. Yeah. MLI or question mark means multifamily low income. So, no, I don't need screen share. So what happens is most time when people are buying cash flowing properties, the goal right now is to get to $200 per door cash flow. If you can get to $200 per door cash flow in Canada, you're doing pretty good. All the American rules and the American stuff you're seeing are a completely different ball game. We're talking about in Canada. And in a lot of the provinces, it's almost impossible. Like, Nick, do you ever see anything cash flowing for investment properties out in Toronto? Does that exist?
No, no.
Right. It's just a
Yeah,
0% chance.
yeah, and to go to your point, that's why the last year and a half we've been looking at foreign markets, and you know what I mean. It's just it's not a thing unless you're like outside market, and your margins are hyper thin.
Liver thin. And like it's a mining town, and if the mine shuts down, your whole investment goes right down the drain, right? So yeah, what happened is a lot of people are just buying for the appreciation because the appreciation and inflation is going so hot in Canada. So people are saying, I'd rather lose $500 a month, right, in paying for a place, but the appreciation is going to go up 100 grand or 200 grand. So that $500 investment that I'm paying every month on my rental is worth it for the appreciation. Well, now what happens is you're going to get both. So with the MLI, to get approved, they have to cash flow. So if you're not getting at least a 20% cash on cash return, the CMHC will not approve this. So you have to have positive cash flow on the project. So imagine you're going to put 5% down. I'll give you the example of one that I bought, but you're going to put 5% down. So I bought a property for $2.5 million. My mortgage payments, interest, insurance, everything all in is about 9,200, so 9,200, and our rent is 13,800. So imagine we're almost $5,000 a month in cash flow, and we only had to put down $125,000. So what property can you buy with 120 grand down that's going to pay you 5 grand a month? And then think about this. So this is a row of townhouses. So the row we bought them for $2.5 million. If it goes up 10% each year, which the Calgary market is expected to do, 10% on 2.5 million is how much? It's 250 grand for out there. So imagine you have $250,000 of appreciation while you're putting 5 grand in your pocket every single month on a brand new building that's super easy to run and manage and maintain because it's brand new. These things have to be brand new by the way the government has the loan structured. So I'll explain to you how to get this. So all you need to qualify is literally 25% net worth of the building. So if you own a property that you bought pre-COVID, there's about 100% chance that you have enough equity to qualify for one of these buildings. Every house pretty much doubled, again, thanks to our financial freedom fighting finance minister Freeland there. But anybody that owned a house before 2019, it probably doubled realistically. And if you're sitting on two, three, $400,000 of equity, you could buy a building for $2 million based on just the simple net worth or the equity of your building. If you got Rolexes that you have insured, that'll count. If you have stocks, investments, any of that stuff, it all counts. The only one that doesn't at the moment is Bitcoin because it's hard to prove where the Bitcoin is sitting, and these have to be Canadian assets. So if you have 25% net worth of building, you can buy up to as big as your net worth is added up to. So imagine every $250,000 in net worth is $1 million in purchasing power. That's pretty crazy because a lot of people have $500,000 in equity in their homes or $700,000. So now, yeah, they just calculate based on your net worth, and then you find a building that cash flows. You put down 5%, and you could go ahead and buy that building, which is pretty cool. I'm just letting in people as they come. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yeah, that does make sense. That does make sense. But you said it have to be something new. So do you have to like start out developers or like so you have to build it though, right? That's what you're pretty much saying, right?
You don't have to build it, but it has to be new, right? Because again, the whole reason why this program exists is because the government is looking for new housing, right? So you can buy old buildings. There are ways for it to qualify, but it's super, super hard to make an old building fit the regulations and qualify inside the guidelines of the program. So it's basically going to be a new building only. Last year, it was super easy. We did a few 18-unit apartment buildings last year. And the crazy thing is the guy bought it last year, did a little bit of renovations, and he's sucking out 900 grand this year out of it. So imagine 5% down. I think he put down about 160 grand. He's getting crazy cash flow, and he just sucked out $900,000 out of it a year later. Go and buy a brand new Aventador or something. It's kind of cool. So yeah, it's super, super simple to do the program. The hardest thing is actually finding these. So you definitely want to partner up with realtors that have inventory on these because it is difficult to find. And some roadblocks and some things that you're going to hit is every single one of these has to have what's called a pro forma. Pro forma is basically the income statement of the building. So it's going to be the rents, the costs, so the net operating income, and then it's going to see what you're left with at the end of the month to make sure that cash flows. So we're getting these all the time. We probably get about 5 to 10 of these a week that people are sending us. And they're putting down the rents at like 3,000, 3,200 for the upstairs. When we go and actually check what the rent is in the community, it's more like 2,500. And they're putting down like $1,800 rent for a studio, like a basement studio, And when we actually check, it's more like 1,200. Well, you actually have to submit the rents to CMHC before they fund the project. So if those rents don't match what you said they were going to, they won't fund the project, and you got to close with 20 or 30% down. Coming up with $500,000 last minute is not easy. It's I made that mistake once as well this year, so don't do that. Make sure the numbers are what they're actually going to be. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, I want you to expand on it some more because like I get it. You have the pro forma, you have the income statements. You got to find these properties. So who's sending you these properties? You said you're getting them. Are they other realtors? Are they developers? Like who's sending you these properties?
Yeah, literally everybody. It's crazy. So what happens is like this is starting to get pretty popular, the MLI program. So there's so much cash in these deals that other realtors are sending to us, developers are sending to us, and I'm even having just random people finding them and they'll send them to us, but they'll add their own commission onto the top. So the worst one that I've seen so far is somebody literally added $300,000 to the price, and they were just going to pocket that 300 grand to themselves. So you want to make sure that when you're working with people, one, that they're above board style people, because it's very easy. Because if the numbers work, it'll fund. So even though the value of the building might be, let's say, $2.7 million, but if the numbers work at 3 million, they can jack the building up to $3 million because you're actually not buying a building, you're buying a mortgage. It's two totally different things that people have to understand with this. You're buying the numbers, you're buying the pro forma, not the building itself. And that's why these things are getting so crazy expensive and going up in value so fast. So yeah, you want to make sure you're very, very diligent on the rent and the market value of it all.
Okay, okay. But there are still many opportunities, and I'm thinking in Alberta, there's a lot. Like, is it only more mainly on that side of Canada, or like are people finding them all over? Like, so for I know a good amount of people on here from like the GTA area. Like, of anyone that actually got to secure this MLI project on this side?
Yeah, it's just what happens is you have to hit the low income component. So, for example, like in Alberta, we're blessed to have high income over here, right? So our minimum rent is, hold on, I'm just gonna log in so I can find you guys some of these. So our minimum rent is 1750 is what our minimum rent can be out here. Whereas in Toronto, the minimum rent would have to be probably 1400, 1500. Well, 25% of the building has to qualify as low income. So two or three of the units have to qualify as low income. Nobody's going to be renting a suite out there for $1,400, right? It's just you're never going to find it. So because that low income qualifier isn't going to meet, you're not going to be able to fund the building. So this really only works in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba at the moment. It used to work everywhere. It doesn't anymore. Yeah.
Okay, but people out here can invest out there because I know I have clients that invested out in Calgary and stuff like that. So it's more you just got to look on that side, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I would say probably 60, 70% of these are being bought up by people from Ontario.
Okay, okay.
It's mostly because what happens is you guys all have properties that you bought for 600, 800,000, and they're worth, 2 million, 2.5 million now. So they're sitting on $1 million of equity. Like we had one guy come in and he bought an 18 building project, if you can imagine that. So he bought 18 fourplexes. And yeah, I think it was just three friends. They all had a bunch of equity in their house, like $1 million something dollars each in their house. And between them, they were able to pull out the few $100,000 that they needed. And then they bought literally 18 buildings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, the people, I know you said that people are sending it to you. Like, are they sending it because you guys understand how to get the actual process going? Like,
Yeah.
and then you work with them on that. Like, so if anyone's on here and they want to get involved with it, is that like what you do, or like, because obviously it's more a little more complex than you're saying. I know you're giving it the just a bit because you've done them, right? So you know exactly what to do. But for someone who's just being introduced to it, how do they go about making this happen?
Yeah. So the first thing you got to do is just fill out a network sheet. So just to see what your net worth really is. And then this is something that you cannot lie on. Like, don't lie by a dollar. Because if it's not right, when the CMHC goes to check on everything, which they will, if what you say versus what's actually out there in the world doesn't match, you're going to have a huge, huge problem on your hands. Because they will, like, not that your credit matters, but they will pull your credit to see what your assets and your liabilities are. And if you got too many liabilities, like you forgot to put that car down there, or you forgot to put that line of credit on there, or whatever, and that lowers your net worth, you're not going to get approved. But if you waive conditions on that deal, that deposit, that 100 grand deposit or 200 grand deposit, that's due and that's staying with the builder. They're not giving it back to you. So you got to make sure for sure that your net worth sheet is filled out properly. And yeah, that's really kind of like the biggest hurdle that people are finding. But in regards to like why people are sending us deals, we're just a huge team. We do a lot of volume. We got a lot of buyers, and we've been through this process a bunch of times. So getting people over the finish line is a lot harder than it sounds. So having somebody steering your ship the right way, because it's really easy to run this thing ashore and just crash. So having a team in place where like everybody is there to pull you over the finish line and make sure we steer you in the right direction, super, super key. So that's why we get sent a lot of them, but we turn down probably 90% because the performers are lies. Like we get them all the time, and I'm like, this is not the real numbers. Like you guys literally just fudge this to make it work. And like, oh, well, we can put it through, we can make it work. I'm like, yeah, but it won't work in the real world. I go, you guys are jacking up the price by $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 more than what it should be because you could make the numbers work. I go, it's not a good buy. So we just won't allow our buyers to buy them if they don't make sense.
That's
Yeah.
deep. That's deep. Anyone have any questions for him, guys? This is some gold right here. Hopefully you guys have some questions. And John, I appreciate you coming on here. I want you to also expand on, because we have Nick on here as well. And we're seeing you guys putting up the displays. You guys are getting set up where you have the Getty Group, you have Spark Financial. Now I want you to talk about collaboration. Because even in this real estate industry, and that's something that I'm really trying to be a part of as well, in terms of working together. Why do you guys first off decide to partner up, and then why is collaboration important, and why we need to do more of that? Nick, you can even talk on this as well.
Yeah, no, and thank you for bringing that up, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier on the presentation, right? Like your vibe will attract your tribe, So me and Shawn Getty, we were like, I was watching him speak at other events, he'd see me do a little one too. We'd have our teams, and at events that would, see each other, met each other. We were at some dinners together, and it was just like, naturally, right? God put us together, right? The universe put us together, the higher power put us together, and had it be that, we have to be doing business with one another. And there's just this trust level and factor that comes along with it, where it's like, I've known Shawn for 20-25 years already, but really, we've only been in each other's proximity for the last 2 years, right? But that's because we align on all our core values, right? And we don't got to go through them with a fine-tooth comb. We just know it's just it's something that you'll attract, right? And with that being said, too, right? Like I'm inspired by Shawn. I see how he moves and shakes. I see how he leads his team. I see what he's been able to do in the couple years that I've watched him grow. I'm in rooms that he's not in when people are talking about him. Like he's God sent, right? So I'm hearing from a lot of people that this guy's the fucking guy. He's the man, and he's doing right by everyone in his way, right? So when you're hearing it from third party, fourth party, people that aren't in his sphere of influence, you know what's good, right? And that compounds, and that ripple effect, and the radius that it could cover is just, it's on a whole other level, right? So there's so many things that make it be that this is going to be an awesome joint venture, and I can tell you that before we even hit the ground running. And with that being said, me and him love doing business. We love growing. We have big goals, right? It's something we're passionate about. We don't feel like we're working or we're struggling, where it's like, oh yeah, like we got to do this or we got to do that, and we're talking in that kind of tone. It's just all high level, high vibes. When we get off the phone's still buzzing, and we just know that we're going to involve a lot of other good people, because we're going to continue to attract our tribe, and we're going to make sure that they all work together with one another, and it's power in numbers, like we were saying, right? So that's one part. And then the next part is strategically, it's a brilliant vertical integration for Shawn Getty's portfolio, because it's another product that he's adding to the shelf in with this huge team that he's leading, that he has a solid foundation which he's built for. And now he's saying, well, you need this too. So I'm trusted, and whatever I touch turns to gold, and you're good when you're with me. So here's your mortgage solution as well. So you want to talk about adding a sick amount of revenue to your portfolio. That's how you're going to do it, right? It's just by simply not, going off the beaten path, but just saying, hey, you need this to go with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So brilliant move on his end for some vertical integration right there. And then from our end, it's like, yeah, we have the back end set up, we have the brand equity, we know how to underwrite, we know how to, inject culture, we know how to build, but we don't have the deal flow, we don't have the revenue, we don't have the army in a foreign market. And I've done it before, and I failed. And I failed because I had everything but the network. I've had everything but the sales force. I've had everything but the Shawn Getty, right? That it takes to blow up. So I'll tell you a story. I've lost upwards of $1 million on my expansion.
Wow.
But I wouldn't have known everything that I know now. And I wouldn't have been able to, have it be that we've landed this partnership and me know how much I need. And how much I want Shawn Getty and the Getty Group, right, to partner with, right? Because that's a necessity, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm drawn to that in a way where it's like, if we could set everything up on the back end and he has the front end, then the pipeline's already jammed and we haven't even incorporated a company yet, right? So that's where it's like, again, fail fast, get back up, learn from your mistakes. Don't have it be that you keep your panties in a bunch and keep the show going. You know what I mean? So just never give up, right? And now it's like we're aligning, everything's clicking, we're liking the way things are going, and there's a lot of hurdles that we're having to jump over though too. It's the compliance aspect, the governing body with FISRA, the getting the licenses, the setting it all up, like all this stuff. It's like, and he's taking on the brunt end of it, with the setting up of the offices and with him putting what he's putting together. And at times it's like I almost feel bad, like I almost want to do more, but there's nothing really we could do more than we're doing right now. So it's not like it's been easy, right? But it has, because of our dynamic and our relationship. Now it's like once that happens, given Shawn Getty's ability to grow a team and a downline, if you didn't hear it from him, that all happened in 3.5 years. And he's going to take over #1 in Canada. It's not if, it's when. And he even has that date. Yeah, he even has that date scoped up. That's how well, he's got himself organized. And you want to talk about strategy, that's on a whole other level. But then what's going to happen with the MLM format that EXP's injected in its model, it's going to allow Getty to expand worldwide, right? And if you want to start with North America, so then what happens with the expansion of Spark? I said it earlier, I got to hit $1 billion.
Yeah.
Well, I got to enter different marketplaces that have the density and kick-ass economies. Well, Shawn's got to do the same thing when he's building his downline, because once upon a time he's going to have the biggest downline in the world with EXP. So we both have the same goal that we got to hit in regards to expansion. So we're just going to do it together.
Yeah, man. I give it up. I give it up, man. Yeah. Collaboration. Shawn, you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, Nick says so many good things, man. But like some of the stuff, like I just want to give you like the fine details of really what happened, right? So we met 2 years ago at a conference, and we became like friendly with each other, but I wouldn't say friends at that moment, right? And what happened is when we met, I was actually an atheist, and I found God shortly after. But Nick, all the time, would anything that was a win for us, he would celebrate in my DMs. Even like to my birthday, he went, "Hey man, God bless with your birthday," whatever, that kind of stuff. And I just always felt good about Nick, if that makes sense, right? He never tried to do nothing or sell nothing or push anything on me. He just always stayed as a positive, good person in my DMs for over a year, if you could imagine, right? Before we actually started talking. And then when the mortgage thing happened, originally in my mind, I was like, I'm just going to start my own mortgage company here. And I got a hold of Nick and I'm like, hey, like, this is what my thoughts are. This is my plan. I know you built a mortgage company. We're not going to compete with each other because you're in Toronto. I'm in Calgary. And then he literally said, yeah, no problem. I'll give you the whole game plan. And I think he got about 45 seconds into the conversation. I'm like, whoa, this is so far over my head. I'm like, would you be interested in actually doing this together? Right. And like, that's the power of giving.
Wow.
Imagine this. If he would have said no to me, the conversation would have never went to where it went. But yeah, man, you need help. I can give you help. I'm not going to charge you nothing. There's no $1,000 an hour consult fee. There was none of that stuff, which I would have been happy to pay. But he just said yes. Just let me help. Same thing. He probably said yes to you here.
Yeah.
He said, like, that's why I say yes instantly, because I found you have to say no to opportunities all the time when you start to get bigger, because people are going to throw a lot of stupid shit your way. But you have to say yes to giving every time. totally different things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of opportunities that come across my desk. I know you do as well. You have to say a lot no to a lot of stuff that's going to suck up your time and resources and shit that doesn't make sense. But when you have an opportunity to give, that needs to be an instant yes, and you have to give with your heart first, no matter what it is, right? So those are two totally different things, and they get such a huge component of that. There's no way that you couldn't want to partner with someone, if that makes sense, right?
That's big. That's major.
Because
Guys,
people don't
that's what I'm
understand
saying.
that.
That's what this session is about. Honestly, invest for cash flow, about giving, about service, and look at, who's on here, the platform. You see their success and you're hearing them talking, and they're talking about giving, and that's definitely more of what we need to have going on, man. So much success to you guys as well. And all of our speakers. I could go on all night, but obviously I'm trying to, cut the time, but I definitely want everyone stay connected. And that's why I'm saying, people ask your questions. You have these people on here, but we'll make sure that we send their connects, follow them on social. Thank you to all of our guests. Shawn Getty, Nick, Regina, Sarah Loon, Isack Ghebreyesus, and we had John as well. Invest for cash flow. You guys, we want to do this every month. You guys are always welcome to be guests at future sessions. So I appreciate everyone. Have a good night. God bless.
All right, have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everybody.